Welcome, Bassstronauts. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy, an endless dimension of fishing legends and degenerates connecting through raw, real, in-person conversations and stories. No, this is not your average fishing podcast. There's no rules. There's no limits. 3, 2, 1, blast off. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's been confirmed. Aliens from another planet have landed on Earth. Sources say there's been 2 confirmed landing points for these extraterrestrial beings. One being Japan, and also, unexpectedly, in Minnesota at Waypoint Angler Supply, a local tackle shop on Lake Minnetonka. With the ever-expanding universe, it's no surprise that there are other planets out there that also share our love for the sport of bass fishing. And to Earth's surprise, this latest visit came from extraterrestrial fishermen light years away and many innovations ahead when it comes to fishing equipment. Some hypothesize these beings came from the planet of Naboo, matching up with Mayan folklore dating back thousands of years with fishing equipment ahead of their time. It has been confirmed they left things never seen before by an Earth-born bass. Waypoint Angler Supply is the premier space station in the bass galaxy and has tackle that could previously only be found in Japan or the planet of Naboo. The Waypoint ship is full, but we don't know when the Bassstronauts from Naboo will be back. So hurry in to Waypoint Angler Supply today and stock up on that Area 51 Planet of Naboo JDM good before your buddy is whooping that sweet ass of yours. Stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Your code for the month of June is Galaxy2420. The Bass Galaxy is also supported by Vocelka Fishing and Customs, Supreme Lending, Dream Team, Lake Country Insurance Services, My Wedge Motor Support, Supreme Lure Company, just north of Memphis, Barbecue and Catering. Thank you. But Josh Douglas, welcome, dude. How have you been?
I'm good, man. It's good to be back out here.
Yeah, dude. What's new? It's been, I think, about a year.
I think so. Actually, I was thinking about that on the way out here. It might be perfectly a year, if I'm not mistaken, because I know I was thinking turkeys. Yeah. And I've been thinking turkeys a lot right now, even though smallmouth season's coming. Well, bass season's coming to Minnesota, so my head's starting to get back onto fishing pretty hard.
Have you been hunting?
I have been, yeah. I've been doing a little turkey hunting. It's something I got into probably 2 years ago now. And I'm just absolutely head over heels for it. It's so much fun to do, and I just never got in the woods that time of year.
Sure.
And it's kind of nice because if you are home, we can't really fish,
right?
And crappies aren't my deal. So yeah, so it's something fun to do. I went out, spent a week with Andy Young. A lot of guys know him from bass fishing, Minnesota guy, and and then got a couple. I still got a week left in Minnesota here at the end of May, and then. Fighter and I drew for Michigan, so we're going to go out there and try to get one too. And
Sweet.
He's kind of my messiah when it comes to turkey hunting, so he's a bit, he's big time, way more big time than me, but he'll be a good guy to follow around the woods and learn.
Absolutely. It seems like he's been killing one in every state.
Yeah, I think
on his way through.
You may as well, and that's the thing about it, man. It's so nice. Like, we travel a lot that time of year, and they're almost in every state. Definitely the ones we're going to, and it's something you can just get on one evening if you got a night off or a buddy down there and go do.
Absolutely, and who doesn't love turkey with some taters and gravy and maybe some corn and some cranberries? Yeah, it's kind of Easterly, like
or Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah. Well, my grandma cooks turkey for every
Hey,
holiday.
I'm all about doing, I don't think there should ever be a thing on a holiday that you have to have.
Right, dude. So have you been graphing out on Mille Lacs at all?
I've been out there a little bit, not as much as I have in past years. I'm starting to wonder if there's anything I don't know, but there definitely is. There's so much. But I find myself, now running into, have I graphed here before? Have I spent a lot of time in here and all that? But no, I've honestly been really messing with electronics a ton this year.
Sure.
That is just the future of the sport, and I've just been doing a lot of shield seminars, and I've been telling people, I think people like to hear this, just the technology's there, and it's coming, and it's going to come faster and faster, but fishing's what you want it to be. If you just want to go out and flip milfoil all day long,
Right.
and never look at a screen, you don't have to.
It's true.
Now, if you want to fish against the best in the state or the nation or the world for that matter, then you're going to probably have to, but you're talking about, that's next level stuff. So I've been going out there and really, going to familiar water where I expect them to be right now, with not a rod in the boat. Definitely don't want to get in trouble.
Right.
Or be too tempted. But just kind of going to areas that I feel like those fish should be stacking on right now. And I've been, like I said, I was a diehard Lowrance guy for a long time, and this year I kind of dumped all the relationships outright. I mean, I have a actually great relationship with all three companies.
Sure.
Humminbird, Lowrance, and Garmin, and but at the same time, I ran Lowrance. They were my longest running sponsor, and that I just had to see what else was out there and make sure I'm not a bot pony, and make sure that I'm actually. And then at the same time, just the technology, like, let's just say a company will pay you X amount of dollars. Well, can you make that quicker in tournaments the way you want to make it?
Yeah.
Doing everything. And then I think about my YouTube and all that. It's a good opportunity to do it. So that's what we've been doing on Mille Lacs, and that way you're not just Lowrance, you're tagging everybody and you're showing what the benefits of running everything is. It's
more transparent. It's more honest.
I think so. Yeah.
And you're seeing that, like with Humminbird, used to be pretty exclusive with their pros, and now I think they've started to understand that you can only pay them so much before the winnings don't outweigh.
Right. Before you're handicapping the ones that are there. But, again, no sympathy there. I've been Lowrance guy, and I've had to work and try to do my job behind when Humminbird was really leading the way in what they do, and what they do is really good. When they brought Lake Master, I was always an avionics guy, so that was a pain in my ass for forever. And all of it catches up and just comes around. You never know who's going to be what, and they're all working on stuff behind closed doors. Yeah. So there's just a good opportunity right now to kind of stretch my wings, I think, and really think more about the people that have been following me and myself. I've fished every organization there is.
Right.
Obviously, got big, huge goals, and so there's some big derbies coming up for me ahead of me, and winning them I think is more important to me at this stage of the game than anything. That's what I want to do. Not
swinging for points and just leaving your heart out there.
Yeah, or just I done a good job for sponsors for a long time, and I'll continue to do that. And I've always prided myself on trying to align with companies that make it easy for me to do my job. You know what I mean? So the electronics thing, it's really fun, man. I've never played with a Humminbird before. I've never played with a Garmin before. Yeah. So it's like a whole bunch of learning.
Right.
But I'm already seeing, man, big time, which we can get into at some point. From my point of view, is I am seeing some things where one favors the other under different circumstances and all that. So pretty wild.
So maybe, like, what system are you running?
Yeah, well, right now, I've had everything. I'm switching them out a lot. I made my boat pretty easy this year to be able to swap units, to be able to go side by side by stuff. I started the unit with Lowrance. It's what I've always known as far as, mapping. I think they're pretty superior when it comes to downscan. Their side imaging has come a long way. I'm going to put them tit for tat with Humminbird as far as Mega goes.
Well, the range is really good.
Range is good. It looks good, and their processors are super fast. So if you've used one before, You know how quick you can zoom in, zoom out, save waypoints, make a ton of storage. I think they're on like 8 processors now or something crazy. Like an 8-core processor. Don't quote me on that. I don't even know. But so I left those, my 2 at my face, and then 1 more up front for waypoint mapping.
Yep.
And then I have 2 different Humminbirds that I've been running different times. One of them at my console is just a Helix 8. And that's for Lake Master mapping there. Whenever I want that with the Lowrances, I can run CMAP and Navionics. So I kind of have all that there.
Sure.
And then I also have a 13 Apex up front with Mega 360, which is the first time I've ever been able to have one. And I know that has paid bills for a long time for people and all that. And then I put a Garmin on this year with the LVS 34 for forward.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I'm not being a sponsored bot and pony. I am switching things around, and right now I'm actually to a Garmin in perspective view. I don't have the 360 on. I can see myself putting it back on when the fish go out deep.
Yep.
Because it'll shine there where my perspective won't, but Garmin's perspective is freaking awesome.
It's amazing, especially
really
less than like 12 feet of water.
It cut me a nice check at Santee Cooper this year when I shouldn't have.
A good finish.
I was using my eyes on day 1, and on day 2 they dropped the water where I was at, and I ended up making a judgment call to go to fish an area that I did real well in an elite event a year or 2 ago, but using perspective mode because it was all muddy in there, and figuring they should be in the same areas. I just gotta. And wow, like you see some things there, and then honestly, that's not sold. That's what I'm saying. I can make sales reps love me and hate me in the same breath. I'm just not sold that Garmin's forward sonar is necessarily better than Lowrance's Active Target 2, for 2 reasons. One, I ran Active Target for a while now. It's got an 18-degree cone, so it's tight. It's a tighter cone.
Sure.
I got used to that. And I got used to that with a Ghost, which is not my favorite trolling motor. It's real, which was a great.
There's lag in that arrow.
It was great. It was great until Forward Sonar came out, and then they went, "Oh crap!"
Do you run that Ashmore arrow?
I don't. Well, now I run a Minn Kota Quest, which is the best for me, and I'll bring back to why I did that. But I think the Garmin shines in forward LVS 34 in shallow water a touch better than Lowrance's.
Sure.
Lowrance in deeper water has better, I think it's clear. You don't get that bottom fuzz, and you can get better target separation on the bottom, which is what I'm looking for chasing smallmouth a lot.
Especially on the Lacs.
And just being a hard bottom guy in general. If I'm chasing largemouth offshore, I'm looking for a hard bottom. So I want that separation.
Right.
And it made sense to me after a while, because if you think about it, in my opinion, Lowrance has the best downscan.
Yep.
Well, all you're doing is flipping one of those transducers, essentially, I would imagine, a downscan, something to that degree. So it makes sense that they're bottom separation. Now, you get a lot of floating fish, and maybe a Garmin's the way to go again. But for right now, the next few tournaments are not going to be so much floating fish.
Yep.
And if they are, they're going to be out deeper, which is, I'll have real good range in that. So, again, just moving things around. And then the trolling motor, I went to a Minn Kota. I ran Ultrexes for a long time. Never had issues with them, really. And I never had an issue with my Ghost. I never had my Ghost even have a hiccup on me for 2 or 3 years, whatever I ran it. But last year was a costly year for me in tournament fishing, mostly, on the Elite Series, with trying to keep up with guys that were not just getting better with forward sonar like I was. I would say I'm better than 95% of the people at forward sonar. But then there's the other 5% that's all that they do, and they are just nasty. I mean, they can tell which way a fish is going. They can see them quicker. They're control. People think you just put a live scope on the front of the boat and you catch them. No, you just begun, because you got to relearn everything. You're trying to chase a fish around. And then I was watching these guys, keep their head down the whole time, looking at their graph and delivering Tom Brady-like accuracy on casts. And it was just catching fish 10 to my 1. And it was a whole another league. So part of that, though, is being able to look down and not take my head off the screen when needed, but still be able to see that head moving in my if I guess you call it peripheral, or past, the screens to be able to
Yeah.
see where that head is. Because I caught myself a lot looking up. Now, where's my ghost? Oh, I'm over here. Look back down. Oh, where the fish go?
Sure.
Move, and it was electric, not cable. So shoot a little too far. So just stuff like that. And the Quest is a beautiful trolling motor on its own. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think it'll keep me honest, and learning different stuff. But yeah, I definitely am. Power pole makes a great troll motor too. Again, I couldn't see it here, so that's why I didn't go that way. But still use all their other stuff for sure.
Sure. And I know, like, I ran the Ghost last year, and that arrow had some leg to it, trying to scope with it. But Ashmore made that axis arrow that bolts onto that shaft, and that helped a ton. Like,
and I ran one. Boat Logic's made a custom one for me.
Sure.
I ran. You have to have it. But you still lose it in some places depending on where you put it. But yeah, I mean, here's the bottom line. All of the stuff is really, really good.
Yeah,
it's really, really good. But at some point, you just want to know, you know what I mean? What you could be missing, maybe?
Right. Well, with the amount of time you spend on the water, I mean, it's going to serve you well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely. Yep.
But I feel like, I guess, I want to get into this a little bit just because I'm curious, man. I felt for you this past year. You had a tough year, and, I mean, I can't imagine, I guess, what's running through your head. And honestly, I don't totally know how it all works. I've been explained a little bit how that point system works and whatnot, but I hope you're doing okay. And I guess walk me through that, because right now there's a bunch of controversy on MLF about they're cutting down their field way more.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, a big surprise to a lot of those guys too. And nobody likes getting cut, dude.
Yeah. Oh no, it was. Yep. I had 2 years on the elites, and then got relegated this last year going into this year. I don't really understand the points either. It's kind of like, I understand how it works overall, but it's like a moving goalpost every year. They're kind of changing, and I'm sure they're trying to figure out. They're trying to weather a bunch of storms too and try to figure out what they got to do. But essentially, after 5 years, you start getting drop years. So that's big if you can get drop years. And then there's a couple years in there they ran 75 boats or whatever, or lower fields. So they're not necessarily using averages. There's a lot of anglers that did worse than me. I finished 53rd out of like 90 something, and then 83rd out of 104, roughly. My numbers might be off by a couple, but it's somewhere in that deal. And that got me cut out of there. There's like I said, a lot of people that, or not a lot, but 20 or so anglers that did worse, but they have longevity. They've been there a long time, and rightfully so. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is on the points is, but last year they put in a top 70 rule. So I picked the wrong year to land outside that top 70. So basically, if you come in the top 70, you're guaranteed. Regardless how you did last year, you're guaranteed to stay on. So what happens is you fall out of that top 70. Now you're put in a group of 30.
Sure.
And then you got to take out the ones that have been there and have whatever. And so here's the deal. It really didn't bother me as bad. I think it bothered other people way more than it bothered me. I know it didn't bother me a ton, and it definitely didn't bother my sponsors that I've been with for a long time.
Good.
I've never... Like, the elites I've made a career doing this for at least a decade now, and I never had elite qualification to my name. I was, putting out content and working and for sponsors and myself, and just trying to grow as a better angler, through the Opens, through the FLW Tour, through the MLF, whatever they were calling it for that year, back to the Opens, into the elites, and now back to the Opens. Like, it just, I think, these are still privately owned companies. So as much as I know what I had to do to get there, and bottom line, that was just catch them better. Sure. And I didn't. The year was crazy. To finish 83rd out of 104, I think I got paid in all the events except one.
Really?
But never made a cut until Lake Ontario.
Sure.
It really got had some if there was more like soul searching that needed to be done, it wasn't after, I got relegated from the elites. It was after like St. Clair and Champlain when we were on fisheries that I should have done really well at.
Sure.
And I did not do well. I couldn't, I was getting outclassed by a different group of fishermen that everything that I worked so hard to get, they were just doing something totally different. And like I said, I was too. I found those fish in practice, man. It was. I thought I was going to win, but it was super calm conditions. I caught 22 pounds in 40 minutes out there. But it only takes a certain level of fishermen to see different anglers out in 40 feet of water in the middle of the lake and go, "What's Taku doing out there?" You know what I mean? So it became a very crowded place, and then big waves just put me out of my. Like, of course, I handle big waves. Awesome. I'm a smallmouth fisherman on Lake Mille Lacs. I thrive on the Great Lakes and stuff. I love it. But I've never chased a moving target.
I've always suspenders in that.
I've never done it. And
oh
so
God!
all of a sudden,
even if you have, it's hard.
All of a sudden, we had huge waves, and I'm losing them. I'm getting the bite. I don't know they're there. I'm just it just got completely outclassed in that one. But so yeah, the elites were done. I chose, man. If I would, the kid in me would kick my ass if I was to get negative about it at all. I mean, I've had terrible tournaments. I've had awesome tournaments. I just think you fly right in the middle somewhere. I bass fish for a living. I have the awesome support. Like I said, they didn't really care if I was elite before I was elite. And they really don't care that I'm not elite when I'm not elite.
Good.
But it's more me, and I want to win tournaments. That's the only thing really I want to accomplish. I've taken seconds, thirds. I just really want to win at the national level.
Right.
And so this is kind of nice. This year I just fished 6 opens. I skipped the Central Opens. One, the schedule looked bleh.
Yeah. And
I'd rather be up north chasing smallies and having fun.
Can't blame you.
And shooting good content for my sponsors and the people that follow me. And then again, work on winning tournaments.
Sure.
And there's a difference. I found myself with points not fishing. Okay, I analyze people big time. So people that consistently win. All right, but they fish different. They're not fishing for points. They're fishing to win the tournament, and then when they miss, they finish 24th.
Right.
And they get a fat check, and they're out of there, and they're good in the points.
Yep.
So I found myself, especially towards the end of last year when things weren't going my way, fishing for points, even practicing for points, to try to stay alive there.
Sure.
And I found myself getting further and further away from feeling like I was going to win a tournament. So this year, I figured, you know what, and maybe next year, I don't know. I mean, I will go back and fish all the open. I do want to requalify for the elites. My MLF days are probably over. I'm not saying I won't jackpot a tournament here or there, but they got their own crap going on over there that doesn't look any more fun. And the rules will change, how you get in, how you get out, all that kind of stuff, and rightfully so. You got to have the top 100, right? I mean, it's got to be your top, or whatever the number is.
Sounds like it's only going to be 50 now.
Well, yeah, I don't even, to be honest, I have no idea what's going on that side as soon as I qualify. I mean, what's kind of funny is I had already told all my sponsors that I was done with MLF stuff and that I was going to just go back to this is why I'm probably good with it now. That I was just going to go back to the opens and fish the opens and try to qualify. And they all stood by me. Great. Awesome. That'll be good. That's where we want you. Awesome. Then I went and qualified. And then, so now I just know that it's, it kind of helps me. But, I want the sport. I want to go out in the sport on top by my terms. And I had to work my butt off to get there. And I'm going to continue to do that. And, but yeah, if I can learn how to not fish for points and instead fish for wins, because I have nothing to lose. Nothing. You know what I mean? Like I show up there. I don't need to think about points on day 2.
Yeah.
And it's worked so far. Okeechobee, I think I finished 50, maybe, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yep.
Which if I was in it for the points, it would have been a great tournament at 225. You'd be happy with that.
Right.
And then 20-something at Santee Cooper. And both of those on day 2 did not go the way my day 1 went.
Right.
And I completely made an adjustment, telling myself, well, 40th place doesn't do nothing for you. Who cares?
Right.
Or a 50th, really. It's a long ride home if you were competing for a 50th.
Yep.
And switch my tactics and kind of, got a set on me and went and did something different. And boom, boom, big bite, 6-pounder, boom, something like that. And next thing you know, you're driving home going, this is how you become a better angler. So
For sure, dude.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you.
When you, I guess, how did that news get delivered? Like when you
The elites?
Yeah.
Oh, you kind of
do you
know.
get a phone call?
No,
Or do you
I'm,
get a
I'm
letter?
sure.
Do they send you like a letter?
You kind of know. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like any other, or they just stop sending you the group emails. I don't know. No, I mean, you know, all through the year, like I said, there's no, like, I'm not a whiner. I'm not an excuse maker, man. Somebody's got to go. And every single guy there wants to get there, whether you think your math makes more sense than their math or his math. It doesn't really matter. If you cry about it, then you're bitter.
Got
you
it.
know, and that's just, so no, they just kind of, you know, they tell you throughout the course of the year, you're looking at the points and how their algorithm and their math is going to work.
Oh, so they're letting
you can
know.
see. Yeah, oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure they are. I mean, that's the one. The rules seem to change every year, but at least they stay consistent throughout that year. They don't just change it at the end.
Well, it's good they're keeping tabs to let you know, because if it's hard to calculate, because you've got legends. How does that work with like legends?
Well, see,
exemptions?
any of those, from my understanding too, there is exemptions are above and beyond the actual field size.
Okay.
So, or injury.
Yep.
You know, there's some guys that find themselves into an injury.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, I don't know what the right answer
All
is.
the
I'm
nitro
sure
pros with their back injuries.
I'm sure
just
there's
kidding.
some that abuse it, but then at the same time, again, I can't complain about because I don't know what the right answer is for none of it. You still want, you know, I would want protection if I blew out my back or something
For sure.
for the season to get me back through. You know what I mean? So
pull a Vegas Golden Knights with that shit.
Yeah. What I can say is for anglers that are looking at getting to the elites, I mean, it is the spot where I'd like to go. Again, I just, if I don't want to die chasing it anymore because I made it, man. I did it. You know what I mean? And that was probably one of the bigger goals.
A lot of people kill to be in
Oh
that
man,
position
it was
where
awesome,
make it
and
for
I
a year.
learned a ton. And it is as of right now, that's the organization and that's the stage that you want to be on if you're trying to solidify your name as a bass fisherman. You know? So
Right. Well, no one can take that away from you, dude.
yeah,
So,
right on, man.
Absolutely.
Right on.
And I bet you'll be spending more time on Mille Lacs this summer than last summer then?
Maybe a little bit, not nearly as much. I mean, I want to. I'm excited I get to fish that. We were talking about it before, that classic bass champions. I don't know if it's how you would call that
Champions Tour Pro-Am, I think.
Pro-Am, yeah.
17
should be
grand.
fun. Late should be kind of post-spawny,
Yep.
kind of funky on the lake. Yeah, so that'd be fun. I've never got to fish one of Bonhama's tournaments over there, and he does such a great job with it. It's a cool one. It's one when I'm on the road, I'm always tuned in to see how guys are doing. No, I don't think it's that catch weigh. It is catch weigh release, but it's not that. It's like it should suit better for me for weight.
It's best 8.
Yeah, it's best 8.
Which
so it
is
should
a good
suit,
doggy
I
type.
don't mind that at all. Yeah,
I don't either.
Over just like the
Well, I
way
can
the
get 8
length or
bites.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. You just never know how the lake's going to set up that day.
I don't smash numbers out there.
Nah, it's
ever,
not bad.
dude.
I
for
feel
me.
like I say that to every guide client that comes out.
Okay,
But
yeah.
at 10 o'clock, like, yeah, it's just really not a numbers lake, but we'll be over 20 before you're done.
Sure.
I promise.
Yep,
you know?
exactly.
And so it's one of those.
Yeah, so hopefully I can get 8 bites. We'll be good.
Yeah, you're fishing it too?
Yep.
Oh, great.
I think, well, I haven't entered yet, but right before they fill up, I'll be signing up.
Right on. Right on. Cool. I don't
just
want to
'cause why
fish
not?
against you out there.
I don't want to fish against you out
Well,
there.
whatever.
I haven't been out there like you have, dude.
Noah would be fishing. There's a lot of other guys that
It's
I'd be
gonna be
more worried
stacked.
about than me. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going to be stacked, but you're definitely one to worry about.
But I'd
out
like to
there,
win the
dude.
tournament for sure.
course.
No, but no, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time to be there, and yeah.
What's changed about that lake? That lake seems to get a ton of pressure in the springtime, and then,
Yeah, well, the
Like-
water's been low.
sure.
The last few years, water's been real low. That's not a problem right now. We've gotten a lot of rain,
Which is good.
And, I mean, it was low. Like I think lower than they've ever had on record.
Really?
And it's kind of staying that way, where maybe even like again, this could sound terrible, and I could be completely wrong. But I've heard like the aquifers and stuff we're kind of emptying like that bottom stuff, and so that's why we can get rain.
Calcified
You know,
aquifers?
just like something. I don't know, but that's what they say. They use that fancy word.
Yeah.
And I'm like Aquafina. I'm good on water.
Yeah,
No, I'm good.
yeah.
No. But so anyway, it's full, and when I was out there looking around, a lot of tannic waters coming in. You know, Mille Lacs has got that this time of year, that light blue.
Yeah.
St. Clair, Bahamas almost look to
Typically.
it. You know, where if you go over, you can see, and it does in the middle. But it's kind of like, and I've seen this before, when the water's running in, the fresh water's running in, and all the little inlets around it brings that tannicky, I got a new puppy, so I know she's running over by my shop right now.
Do your thing. Congrats on the new puppy.
Do you trailer your big outboard? Then you need the MyWedge motor support. MyWedge keeps even the heaviest motors safe and secure on the trailer. And talk about easy. Up with the motor, on with the MyWedge, back down, ready to roll. And MyWedge is built to last. It won't rot, it won't split, it won't fail. Guaranteed. Pop on MyWedge centering clips for lateral stability and you're good to go. MyWedge, security in a snap. To order yours, go to mywedge.com.
Most tournament anglers and guides are not covered fully or properly. Most insurance policies don't cover exposure due to tournaments and guiding. Taking the chance of using the wrong insurance gives the insurance company an out when settling a claim. How will the insurance company know that you're fishing tournaments or guiding? Well, social media is their number one resource. And guess what? They use it. Lake Country Insurance offers one of the only products that can cover both tournament and guiding use in your vessel. Anglers don't seem to hesitate spending $50,000 to $100,000 for a boat. Why risk that large asset, all because you wanted to save a few extra shekels? Are you nuts? Call the folks at Lake Country Insurance today and make sure you have the proper coverage for your boat before the unexpected happens. Call 612-285-3113 today or visit their website, lcisagency.com. That's lcisagency.com.
Yeah. It's a world of the dumb. No, she's a great girl. It's awesome. Just now I remember, how awesome it was to have a 5-year-old there too.
Yeah.
But no, it's pumping in that tannicky water, that iron ore water that we're known for up north that you see in all the little largemouth lakes. That stuff's pumping in. And I've seen that where it'll come in and maybe get an area will push with that tannic water and then it'll push that blue water kind of out. Well, now it's pumping in so much and the lake was so low that it's kind of like everything along the shoreline and out now is that. And then there's a mix, like when you start pushing the reefs.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's going to be, it's going to set up the lake a little different. But I think it'll be good because the last couple of years, that low water really makes that algae bloom get real tough.
Sure.
It doesn't give the fish as much habitat because the shallow ones, it's getting maybe a little too shallow for them or whatever. So.
It seems like there's more bait in the lake than
definitely. I think the perch are making a big comeback. On the lake, I'm hearing perch are out there, and when they spit them up on my boat, it looks like a little barred perch to me. And sometimes on forward sonar, that's all you see is. That's what I was saying. That's when it gets tough, and all of a sudden, like a normal Ned rig, they don't always want to bite it because they have such an abundance of forage. The water's dirty. They don't trust their eyes, so they'll stare at a Ned rig a little bit too long until I screw up and move it wrong, and then they're like, that sucks. They move away from it.
What have you seen with the crawfish out there? I mean, it's still the same.
It's never what it was when I moved there 7-8 years ago, and even the couple years that I'd be running up there with the boys to go fish it, we would literally drive over them on ramps, but they're there. I mean, they spit them up. But it's again different. It's different. I think that they used to eat all crawdads almost, but and flies and stuff. They love mayflies and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely think you're starting to, there's going to be some bait chasers on that. There already are. You know what I mean? So it's opening. The lake's changing, but for whatever reason, it's Mille Lacs as fertile as I'll get. So it just keeps pumping them out.
Because there's Cisco's in there too.
Yep.
You see me eat those?
Yep. I've never seen them eat them outright. You know what I mean? But I target tulip eaters in the fall a lot when the tulips are thinking about spawning and they're starting to move up. And every now and then they'll spit out like they look like a goby, but
sculpin.
Sculpin, yeah, old sculpin.
I feel like that might be the lobster.
They're
out
usually
there.
always alive too, so I can kind of drop them back in the water and let them go. But Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there's no shortage of crawdads, but we're not seeing them. But again, a lot of that could have been the abundance of shallow water in the low water the last few years and stuff like that. Maybe it'll make.
Or maybe they ate them all.
Well, there's definitely
Isn't that
something.
what they did
no,
in Leech?
No, and there's definitely the mismanagement or management of the lake to some degree. I mean, if you got to allow some walleyes to be taken, you have to allow some small, you know what I mean, and do something for the fishery.
Right.
Or they eat all their food. They're going to eat all the food, and then they're all because I mean I won't put it past the walleye to eat my 3/4 football jig. He'll choke it. He'll choke it, thinking that's a big crawdad, and there ain't no way. They get after him too. So.
There ain't many lakes that you can go to and catch more walleyes than bass, fishing for bass.
No, it's the best guiding
That's
lake for me. Because I don't have to convince you. If I was like on Chickamauga, I'd be like, oh, the drum's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to do that. I'd be like, oh, it's a Walter.
Right? That's like, it's a delicacy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you only do out of state, so that's probably just like, oh, cool.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they're good with a big old walleye.
And they're like, can we eat it? And you're like, no.
No, you gotta put it back. No. Yeah, you can, we'll go over to Hunter's Point.
Yeah.
And get some walleye. It'll be good. That's about right. Freaking let a beauty nice one go, and
absolutely
then go buy it from the store. But
so with opener, are you? What's kind of your main focus in the spring out there?
Yeah, I say every year I'm going to guide less, and then the season comes, and it's so much. I got the best clientele. There's so much of them are repeat, so they just keep coming, and
that's awesome.
And then it's just like fishing with you. You know what I mean? It's a buddy. It's somebody so you're out there, and most of them, they want me to throw and catch them, so you're catching them right with them. But certain times of year, so I end up I'm doing a good amount of trips, but. I'm taking off. I mean, I think with the classic bass, they make you take like a week off or something that I can't guide. I think I can be out there, but I can't guide. So I got we're shooting a lot of stuff. I'm doing some stuff with Bass Mafia this year.
Cool.
YouTube thing they got a lot in the works. That
Sweet.
company's got a ton in the works actually,
really?
Not just boxes, like just a lot going on over there, and that's really kind of exciting. And you've seen some of it, like Zaldane's had his fingerprint now on a few different baits that are
swim
kicking,
bait catches them.
Yeah. The spoon, he's got a new better spoon. And I'm such a fan of a spoon. It's a good one. But yeah, they got big ambitions. So I'm gonna be doing some stuff with them for like a YouTube Smalley segments, and just doing some of that, and then that Leech Lake Open.
Yeah.
I mean St. Clair. I know St. Clair pretty damn well. Actually, I've been there a bunch. And we get decent practices for the opens, like 5 days. But Leech, I'll pre-practice some before cutoff. And I honestly haven't fished there in a decade. I haven't fished there since like the state tournament or whatever. It was a long time ago, man. It would have been the same time me and you fished in like the Silverado, so it would have been a decade or better ago. And so I haven't. The lake's changed a ton. I know that, but it's only about an hour from the house, so.
Right, that's
you might see the Shields boat creeping around out there a little bit.
Hey, it's fish is pretty similar to Mille Lacs.
That's what I've heard. That's what Smalley wise, and even I mean, obviously we know it's a largemouth factory.
Largemouth too, probably.
Yeah, and it should be different. The open being that I'm kind of liking that I don't know it because I can go in there from a fresh start.
There's something special about that.
There is, and of course I'm going to want to find smallies, but can it hold up for 3 days with 225 bullets? This is stuff we don't know from Minnesota. This is when you figure out the big, like the big stuff. Like everyone's like, oh, I can catch 20 pounds on leech every day. Well, you can when you practice on a Friday, fish a 30 boater on Saturday, and then out of there. But you let 225 boats show up with AMs and all that on a lake that doesn't take pressure like that, they know they're getting fished for real quick. So
for sure,
I think
especially if it's blowing 15 out of the north.
Oh yeah,
I mean
that lake will eat you right on up.
Yeah, and I think that's really what's gonna affect how big or small it fishes is the wind.
Yep.
225 boats with 20-mile-an-hour winds.
Put them all in some certain areas real quick. And it's probably going to take a mixed bag. I mean, I'm expecting it to. I need to know, but I don't want to say too much. But I just looking at the results and how they work out, and they're going to have a lot of water this year. There's going to be a lot going on. I mean, if you're at I think a person can win on straight largemouth on that lake.
You think so?
I do think that they can. It just depends on if the smallmouths are if they can handle the pressure of that many boats that are going to want to target them with forward-facing sonar and all that. It's just you're going to have a lot of guys that are going to prefer to go for them.
Yep.
And I could see somebody that knows the lake or finds something kind of good. It could go ignored, and for 3 days, you might need it because of the weather too.
Yep.
If you get a weather day where those smallmouths are tough to get at, but I mean, I don't care if I weigh 15 smallies for the win though.
I think the win's going to be smallies, but I think mixed bags will be in the top 10, and I think you could top 5 it with straight largemouth.
I'd love to have like a 5-pound largemouth spot that bails me out when I got 17 pounds of smallies or something, and all of a sudden, boom, I can just run there, maybe hopefully get a big bite.
Right. The problem is I feel like the largemouth stuff fishes as small as the smallmouth stuff almost to an extent, so it's a matter of I think pressure is going to affect all of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't know. Like, I truly am not trying to, I don't know the lake, and I definitely don't know it as a smallmouth factory. I did. Oh, no, I take that back. I fished that state tournament out there, and I was practicing with Rich Lindgren, and one of us caught a smallmouth, like, on a sandy dock on accident. We were like, what is this? And then I 1 year, what was it? Corey Brandt and I won that NABC on Minnetonka.
Yep, I remember
qualified for a championship on leech.
Got it.
But at the time, we fished for largemouth the whole time. Yeah, and you probably couldn't if it was too late.
You could only weigh smallies even in season, like for a couple of years.
Was that a leech rule? Oh,
yep.
See, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, it makes sense because I know that I flipped up like almost 6 pound, and forever that was my biggest smallie.
Damn.
And it came on like a 1 ounce jig up in the stuff, Okeechobee fishing. All of a sudden I had a big brown one on there. But, hopefully that's not the way I'm catching them come. What about the rice out there? Like, what happens? What's the rules that time of year? It's August. I mean, can you get in the rice? Can you not?
Oh, just waiting for it.
You saw it wobbling?
Yep. Our gravitational force is lost. It's hard.
It is hard.
I want to see you do it. I feel like you're an egg hunter and you're born for this. So you'll see, like, it's weighted on the bottom, like heavier.
Over it already. I don't like
I know,
stuff
right?
like that. That's like whatever. Just makes me mad.
The rice thing, I don't know. For all of our tournaments, I thought it was like you can't put your boat in the rice more than like a boat length or something.
But that's what I'm saying. There's too many gray area rules. If we're learning anything from bass fishing right now, these guys are not afraid to cry about it when it comes time when somebody runs in the gray. And I'm not for, I'm for following rules and all that, but I remember when anglers use their social media more for teaching people how to fish and all that, not crying so much.
There's a lot of crying going on nowadays. It's crazy.
It's really crazy.
I couldn't believe all the people crying about Brian News DQ. And I don't feel like that dude deserved.
No, I don't like it's so it's
not to get too far into it, but
it's kind of glad he did, but not because anybody can spin it which way that they want, and if you don't tournament fish at high levels, you don't know. Not that it makes you above any rules per se,
right.
But like when I'm bed fishing, if I'm truly bed fishing, I'm blowing down the bank at 110.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I see one shoot off and I'm slamming my brakes back. I'm dropping my power poles. It gets muddy in there. And, intentionally mudding up a bed is more, it's not destroying a bed. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's not to destroy a bed. That's all I want to say. And I don't want to get too far because somebody will bitch at us for it, but that is not destroying a bed. That bass actually is trying to dust off that bed as much as it can.
Yeah.
So was there gamesmanship there? Probably. I mean, it seems like he admitted to that.
Well, yeah, because he went back to
the
catch
lie
it.
detector probably. Well, yeah, right. But like I don't know. I think it's pretty bush league to turn somebody in for that.
Like
There's a lot bigger, worse
too.
Rules that are going on, and that one. All I'm saying is, if he was to intentionally go in there and try to destroy a nest, that is one thing.
Yeah.
But I think bass probably left a lot more gray area now there by doing that. That guys kind of, and like I said, I don't even know the whole thing, but somebody watches from 50 yards away can say a whole lot about what's going on there. And, I don't know. People are quick. Like I said, to me, that's not like putting weights in fish's bellies. That's cheating.
That's freaking cheating.
You know what I mean? And like blowing, like being a true information
buying
rules,
waypoints,
any of that, breaking information during the deal. Those are cheating. Those are cheating things.
Yes.
Right. That is, and then you should be banned from everything. And I'm not sugarcoating nothing because, again, if I don't know what his true intention was, it seems like his intention was maybe to dirty it up a little bit.
Talking to guys. And I won't mention names, but it sounds like that's actually a bed fishing strategy, and it makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
They can see you,
right?
You ain't catching them.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden you spend 15 minutes on it, and now you dust it. Now they can't see you
in a DQ. So that can all of a sudden, like, I mean, again, I'm sure it comes down to the lie detector and what your intention
Thank
was,
God he's already
which is
on
probably
the elites.
what it says.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but imagine that happened in an elite tournament, which now it just. I don't think you see stuff like that at that level much. You'd more have a guy talk to you or something. But again, I don't want to condone destroying nests. I mean, bed fishing on its own already has so many people not loving that as a general rule. So I understand it's an easy target to say. And yes, you're supposed to if you see a rule infraction. But I just don't see how you can see a rule infraction if you're not in that damn boat and know what you know what I mean, and know what
his intentions were.
Right, yeah, like like if somebody comes up on me during the tournament, here's a big one. Let me go here. I can't stand it.
No.
If you lied, no, hold on. If you lied, if we are 3 people in the bag line to go, and I look over and say, Aaron, you get them? And you go, no. I'm like, no, what do you got? Bag looks good, 14 pounds. And then you cross the scale right behind me, and you weigh 19. And it's like, why, right? I was about to find out. It ain't like there's now I can see we get up boat to boat out on the water. It's 11 o'clock. You've been sitting on the spot. I'm coming in to it's a spot I know, and I'm working like, you got him, Aaron? And be like, no, I got 12 and you got 19.
Yeah,
because it might make me go, yeah, that's what sucks, and go.
Yep.
If you tell me you got 19, well, hell, and then I might just, you know what I mean? That's not a very smart thing to do as a competition.
Agreed.
So that part of it, I think, is good. But, yeah, just a lot of, I don't know. I just don't like it. Like I said, I think it leaves a gray area. There's just a lot of complaining right now in fishing, and I don't know who's right, who's wrong, but man, I'm not a drama guy. I watch only comedies and sports. Sports give me all my drama. Losing 4-pounders give me drama. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Putting guide clients on 20 pounds already, that's my drama. Watching drama movies and TV or any of the stuff like that, man. I want to learn still. I'm in the sport. I'm trying to learn. I want to know what Koya Fujita's doing. I don't really care about nothing else. Does that make sense?
I respect that. Yeah. And I won't dig on it much more, but you did mention, like, he got a DQ for that. And it's like, I noticed this. Stiff. And I noticed this, and I don't know what to make of it. I don't even know what my opinion is, but guy runs no wake on St. John's.
Yeah, I heard about that one. Just recently.
And doesn't get a DQ.
Yeah, so again,
that's like that is a clear as day rules violation.
Definitely.
Now, I'm not saying either of them deserved a DQ.
I don't know
that.
Again, though, I'm not going to say. I don't think that's a. I don't know. I don't think that's either. A DQ violation generally, and it shouldn't be.
Right.
That's not one of those like a DQ. Like that's what I'm saying. I think maybe if, in my opinion, there was a slight overreaction. Maybe one tournament trail doesn't like to discipline their anglers when they do stuff wrong, so the other one over disciplined maybe just a little bit on that one.
That
but
makes
all
sense.
It says, as an angler, I feel a little vulnerable after it because there's a lot that could be put into it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't like gray area, and I feel like sometimes when they're trying to fix a problem, they create more of a problem.
Yeah.
For it, and I think anglers themselves will really police stuff on their own, like you got with the no wake yeah, and I don't know if that's the right call either. Again, it comes off looking a little bit, like that. I just don't remember Denny Brower getting on there and bitching about some rookies doing crap, and I'm freaking love Gerald Swindle, but I absolutely, who was it? Who was it that he was complaining?
McKinney.
Yeah,
McKinney.
yeah, and I'm a
didn't
fan.
Complain. I think he just
fan
turned
of
him
his
in.
too, man. And no, didn't complain. I'm not saying that, but turned him in for which. I mean, that is See, that's a clear rule violation.
Right.
That's why I want to say, like, that is a clear rule violation you can see. The other one is not clear. But again, I'm sure if it comes down to a lie detector, they're going to ask you about intent, and that's where he's going to get caught. If he did just try to dust it up to buy him 5 minutes to come back to it, if somebody comes through there to make him, you know, not be able to see it as well.
Right.
But dude, you can do that on accident too. But again, it comes down to intent. But what are you going to do? You know, I don't know what the right answer is, but I don't think a DQ was the. I don't think the DQ. I think a DQ is super stiff for that.
I agree. I felt bad for him. I put that out, and I couldn't believe some of the comments. And you shouldn't read the comments anyway. You're reading the 0.05% of internet trolls.
The most opinionated.
Yeah,
and
like
here's the deal. If
minority's voice is accented nowadays. You know,
dude, I learned right away. I looked at I saw one time. I saw this is a while back too, when Instagram was getting kind of big, and Wiz Khalifa posted. And one, I couldn't refresh it faster, and he'd get 1,000 likes for every time I'd refresh it. It was that quick. But then you just go through the comments a little bit. Now, I love comments on stuff, but I like the person that comes up with that classy, funny,
for sure,
witty comment, and it'll always be your first couple, and you're like, that's good. You know, there's an art to a good comment.
Oh, there is.
But then you got all the other crap, which you just can't never. That's an argument you can't win. And you know, Wiz was winning.
He was.
You know what I mean? So if
Probably
people
still
aren't
is.
bitching about you in some way or hating on you, and you're just
right.
Jeff, what are you gonna do, man? Just take it and roll on. Who cares?
Well, if there's anything we learned from the last presidency, it's that bad news fuels attention, good news fuels attention, and if you're in both lights, he's whether you hate him or like him. That orange man's the most popular man in the world.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Oh no doubt.
Because he's the most
polarizing,
hated,
man.
and because he's the most loved.
Yep.
That makes him the most. Yeah,
big time.
Randy Blockett.
Yeah,
that dude is. I mean,
Randy's who I really want. That. That's what I'm saying. Guys could do a better job just putting it. I'd rather hear Randy teach me how to throw a jerkbait good or something like that than sit there and try to make his money and peel off a few years on something that's just, you know, you're making money on it. I don't care. Randy Blockett is selling more live scopes than the entire Garmin Pro staff put together, and I'm dead serious about that. I'm dead serious. If you're sitting there telling a bunch of amateur to great anglers to weekend warriors that this thing is so bad you need to ban it and blah blah blah, it's so. What about the guys that don't comment and just go on to Shields and buy one?
Well, this guy says it's cheating, and
that
sounds pretty cool.
He's just making money, and at the same time, you know, people will just. It is what it's controversial. I get it.
No, he's like those doomsday media guys. He's like rocking the doomsday media model.
It's everyone. Yet his studio's getting a little nicer and nicer.
Reptiles have taken over the Capitol. Yeah.
I never knew him much fishing at FLW, none of that, and I had nothing but respect for the guy.
Oh, good angler. Great angler, sure.
But again, starting to come off real bitter. You know what I mean? That's just the only thing we're guaranteed in this life is that we're going to get older. And somebody's going to come along who's going to do it different. Maybe not always better, but different. And eventually better, but somebody will come around and do it different. You're guaranteed it on every single level. So you can fight that. Or, you know what I mean? You can embrace it a little bit. Like guys like Swindle and stuff who are, you know, relevant. That he's, you know, Swindle's maybe 50. I don't even know.
I don't know.
Which is young man. You know what I mean? Plenty. And that dude's in way better shape than me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right. But he embraces today's youth for the most part. No, he can have his opinions, and I get them. Swindle made his living flipping a jig around, and he can do it all. But you know what I mean?
Yep.
Made his living doing that.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing about forward sonar now that you're running into is you got guys say, you know, even your age and up. How old are you? 30. 30, let's say 30 years old and up, that have learned how to successfully bass fish a different way.
Right.
Now take somebody like Swindle, or I talk about Fighter a bunch, who got there. Fighter doesn't like flipping on his graphs in the ledge tournament. He wants to find him up a hole somewhere and top 10 it his way.
Yep.
And he's had a ton of success doing it. We all have to get to wherever we're at.
Yep.
Well, now when push comes to shove, you can go into the tournament knowing this is what I have to do.
Right.
But there's always that moment in a tournament where you need to go left or you need to go right. And when it's not going well, all of a sudden you're going to pick up that jig and you're going to run to the bank.
Yep.
And that is just still not going to be good enough, even if you go up there and whack them. Because it ain't that we're putting pressure or scoping's putting pressure on fish. We're opening up fish that we're never getting fished for.
Right.
And I think we do push them around a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
We push them around.
Yeah.
If we sit out there in the middle of the lake and attack them that way, in a couple years, it won't be long, and they'll be somewhere else. I mean, they'll still be there, but they'll be way more educated.
Yep.
And they will. They'll just change. I've not done it that long, but I've done it long enough to see that, man, they just change so much to pressure, same as me and you would.
Right. Yeah, nobody likes getting hit on the head or, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they figure it out.
Yeah. I was talking about this the other day. I feel like those fish feel like we're aliens, like abducting them. Like we're like aliens to them. Like they don't know what the hell we are. Like we're like some
I'm starting to
aliens
think
them.
that a lot of them have been caught a bunch, and they're
Like
setting
Josh.
up who we are.
They're like Josh.
I don't want to. We shouldn't even throw the spot on the river, but does it really matter? Like Monticello, I'm pretty sure that those fish will eat a sucker, knowing they're going to get caught, just because they still want the sucker.
Josh, you've been here 4 days in a row.
Yeah,
Don't think I don't know you're fucking here.
They're like, we know that Shields boat from forever.
Oh yeah, they're like, it's got a little blue tag on. Yep.
Just pimping the same spot over and over and over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting, and I feel like Mille Lacs is a lake that gets a fair amount of pressure.
Sure.
And I was talking about this. Paul Newman brought this up, and I thought it was interesting because I didn't fish the lake way back when those guys did for smallmouth, but you never used to hear about walleye guys catching smallmouth in 20 feet of water on Mille Lacs. I'm talking back in the old days, right?
No.
I mean, you want to catch a smallmouth, like you had to go 6 feet or less.
Yeah.
And they were all pretty much shallow. So, like, Newman's theory is that they want to be shallow out there, and he thinks that the pressure and that we seem to push them elsewhere. Now, I agree with that to an extent, but I also think there's plenty of food out there.
Yeah,
like,
there
deeper
is.
than 6 feet of water. So it's not
Sure.
a matter of, it's kind of a two-part deal in that sense in my mind. But
I mean, from what I've seen, after they spawn, there's going to be a big population of them that's just going to move out to their deep haunts where they like to hang around that area. That's their school. That's what they like to do. And every reef, every point, everything has a school bass on it, or a couple of them. So some are going to do that. Some are going to do that. They're going to go out there immediately when they get done spawning. Other ones are going to hang around, and they're going to stay in like that muddy stuff, shallow, looking for mayflies and eating those little perch. And that's probably the majority of them are going to want to get there. And then you have better structure up shallow. But then again, the last couple of years, I think it's more the water being so low. Made some spots that would be 6, 7, 8 feet. Now 4 or 5 feet.
sure.
And then they get mossy and they get a little gross. And I mean, I'm sure they're there, but they get harder to fish because you get your
Green slime.
bait, all stuff like that, and move out. But yes, I do think pressure will definitely push those fish in different areas. If you're throwing a swim jig in dollar pads everywhere, eventually they're not going to even eat in the dollar pads, or they're just going to move over to the milfoil or something, And I do think we definitely move those fish around, but more time of year, and I think bait. And then think about like 20 feet on Mille Lacs. Think how cold that is down there.
I guess I've never swam down there.
I mean, me either.
What do you think the temp change is? Because
Pretty
I've seen
good.
people like drop probes down.
Yeah, and I've
and
done
do
that with
That
an
was like an
aqua
old
view,
Moina trick, I think.
But see, I think more the crawdads are probably still shallow. Everything's nesting right now, so they want to be. And the smallies are kind of the last to go out there.
Right.
Really, I mean, the walleyes are well done. I think walleyes eat more smallmouths at the end of the day than.
Really?
Well, and I'm not saying nothing bad. Like,
no,
dude,
know. You weren't firing
I don't
shots
think
there.
it should be just a small. Like, I think we should come together with a big game fish alliance for that lake, because it is special, and protect all the predator fish together as a group. And but yeah, the wall, but naturally the walleyes are spawning right now, or probably already done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not your walleye guy. But if they are, I know that they get up there real early, and that's when they get netted.
Yep.
And just when they're trying to protect the spawn outright, that's what the whole thing is. But then they turn around, and the smallies are just showing up.
Right.
And then the smallies have babies and do their thing and all that. And then you see them. You'll see the big groups of big smallies. You'll see the big walleyes rolling with them and stuff like that. So I think it's more just in the spring they like to be there. But come June 15th, all bets are off on that lake. And people hit me up on that all the time. Hey, Josh, new to the lake. I know you're full guiding. Just want to know
Attention all Bassstronauts. This podcast is supported by the Bass Galaxy's title sponsor, Waypoint Angler Supply, the Midwest's new landing pad for hardcore anglers just like you and me. If you're looking for the sneaky goods you can't find anywhere else, look no further. Waypoint Angler Supply has the largest offering of JDM tackle in the Midwest, and they are right here in Minnesota on Lake Minnetonka. This is truly a place every bass fisherman in Minnesota needs to visit because we finally have a tackle shop in the state that's as dreamy as the ones you find down south. And the staff at Waypoint Angler Supply understands the various needs of us anglers, which is why you'll find the selection there so enticing. Ross and the folks at Waypoint Angler Supply are passionate about carrying the right stuff, providing an authentic customer experience, and they listen to the anglers. And it doesn't end at JDM baits. They stock all the top U.S. brands, as well as local Minnesota brands like Vocelka Fishing and Customs, Arsenal Fishing, Bait Lab Custom Swim Baits, All Terrain Tackle, Bagley Northland, Outcast Tackle, and more. So stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Your code for the month of June is Galaxy2420.
Supreme Lure Co. introduces a revolution in bass fishing with our triumphant trio, the Supreme Slug, Lil Slug, and Slaw. Leading the charge is the Supreme Slug, a legend revived after 2 decades. Its unique shape and built-in hook slot redefine tactical brilliance on the water, giving you an edge like never before. But the saga continues with the Lil Slug, a miniature powerhouse that mirrors the majesty of the Supreme Slug. Don't let its size fool you. It packs the punch needed to lure in those elusive bass. And for the ultimate bass feast, there's the Slaw, a craw representation with the same irresistible characteristics as the Supreme Slug. It's bass seduction at its finest, designed to trigger predatory instincts. Exclusively crafted for bass enthusiasts, Supreme Lure Co. brings you a trio that's not just baits, they're bass magnets. Supreme Lure Co. Cast in gold, reel in glory.
depth range. And it's like, man, I'm not hustling you. I'm not lying to you. Depth range doesn't matter on this lake once you're past the spawn. The depth range, maybe even when they're spawning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the depth range just does not matter. And then maybe when we get them algae blooms, I think that might want to put them shallower too. Because again, I was telling you,
and tighter.
They don't trust their eyes, so they revert back more into being a largemouth and ambush predator, and they're going to want to get somewhere where they can hold down a spot, maybe not have such a big school on a spot. I see the schools be a lot smaller.
I've noticed that after rain out there.
Definitely.
It seems like they get closer to grass.
Definitely.
Closer to a boulder.
Yep.
Like they
Boulders,
get real
grass.
tight to stuff. And I feel like it's because they're not at the top of the food chain on that lake too. Like you have the muskie.
Right.
You have some of the biggest muskies in
huge.
the world.
Not a lot.
Not a lot,
but huge. Huge. So, no, they're clearly not. But I'll tell you this. I have never, like St. Clair, I can't fish for 2 days without losing a smallmouth to a muskie.
Really?
But it's all sand and grass.
Sure.
So it's more like fishing over by like, what is that, St. Albans and stuff?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
over there where you got all that sand and grass. And the lake's getting a lot more grass. You know, Miramar's got a ton of grass on it. I can remember when I first moved up there was hardly any.
Right.
And now
Garrison
it's
too.
too. Oh, yeah. There's grass is growing all over the
Milfoil
place.
on Garrison.
Yeah, the grass is growing everywhere, and they're using it.
Yep.
You know, and I'm sure that's helping the purge. But I think maybe those smallmouth. I've never lost a smallmouth there because I'm usually fishing for them, or was always fishing for them, I should say,
Yep.
on rock and sand. And now that I found myself around the grass, that's where I see the muskies a heck of a lot more.
Sure.
So I'm thinking there they got a shot. But even I don't think like muskies just eat a smallmouth. I think they got enough not drum, but what's the one that
Cisco, tulipy,
well that, and then
walleye.
What's the one that's going up the creeks right now and everybody's trying to
Brook
suckers
trout.
and stuff.
Brook trout.
No,
Sucker.
not brook trout. They would be eating brook trout.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, they. I don't know if they can get a smallmouth one-on-one just because smallies can see them so good and stuff.
Smallies have really good eyes.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like when you're watching like a Yellowstone video and a pack of wolves show up on a grizzly bear and they just kind of.
Yeah.
But catch a smallmouth. Now he doesn't have control, and that muskie's gonna get him every time.
It's interesting you say that because like some of the toughest days to catch a smallmouth are the partly cloudy days, and they do have some of the best eyesight. But I almost wonder if they have the best eyesight, right? So they maybe can let the most light in and block the most light out or something. So maybe it's like they're more like that. There's a longer window of change in their eyes between like sunny and cloudy, maybe.
I love that kind of way of thinking, man. I love that kind of stuff.
I got more questions than answers, but
and all you can do is speculate, and then that's another good. I hate to push forward sonar, but it's again, I just like the learning lessons. Like you can start seeing stuff like that maybe, and getting a actual answer that this is where they're doing or what they're wanting to do. I'm with you on that, and they do have tremendous eyesight, which makes them so. That's why they blew up on the Great Lakes and everything.
Right. Well, like so you've probably noticed this, and in fact, I know you've noticed this. I've heard you talk about it. Like when it's sunny, they tend to feed up more,
yeah.
And when it's cloudy, they tend to be tighter to bottom or tighter to whatever transition, boulder, whatever it might be.
They can't see it as good
when it's cloudy.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
The sun lights up everything. I mean, heck, what
do we want? I feel
like
it creates an ambush point, like glare almost, though, maybe for them too. Like
if they were looking up. But think about me and you. If we want, what do we want when we're bed fishing or looking for them cruising?
Right.
Sun, because we can see forever. You can see them moving. You can see their shadows. You can see everything. I think they can see all that.
Seems like they like to feed up more, though, too, which doesn't make sense.
They do.
I don't like the sun in my eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm more speculating and asking questions that way, but yeah.
Well, it's like, like duck hunting, it used to always be, rainy days are your best days because they fly low and stuff, and I get that.
Oh, sure.
But
they
can see you better on cloudy days. You don't have glare, where if you have sun glare, they get lost in the glare, and you can literally tell that these fish can't, or these ducks can't see you. Like,
right.
Like they're in that blind spot coming right in. So,
yeah.
So I'm sure and maybe that's why they eat because, hey, I've had so many of them come up and stare at a popper and a topwater bait, literally go like this with it the whole way down and decide not to eat it.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Maybe that's why we catch them, because sometimes they just can't quite make that thing out, so they gobble it.
For sure. Well, I guess you mentioned seeing them, and I think sight fishing is an art form, and I think most days I'm pretty bad at it, and some days I'm okay with it. I've got a few tools that have helped me a lot, like Dane's hair jig rod and a couple others to help me with that. But I guess, has there been anything you've learned like that people could maybe take home with them on sight fishing, like where the sun is, like behind
definitely.
you, stuff like that?
You want to get it. You want to get it so that you're not casting a shadow super far out. So if you have higher days and that sun's right over the top of you, you're going to have a little bit more of a shadow. But in the mornings and the afternoons, if it's on one side of you, it's going to cast out.
Yeah.
And they can definitely see the shadows coming. I mean, shadows will ruin you on a lot of things, unless maybe they're on a bed and they're programmed to be there. But they definitely see the shadow coming. So mindful of shadows, and you also at the same time want to be able to use that sun to your advantage, go the direction that you can see. I don't care how sunny it is. If it's too windy, all of it sucks. So you need to consider calm water and going to areas where you can use, the wind and the sun together when you're doing it. And then it's just doing it, right? Like just get on a day. And I've had so many different days doing it, where you're just, Jim Severson's probably one of the best. And I remember way back in the day asking him, like, they're not on beds. How are you sight fishing right now? And he just kind of gave me that look that, if you're an angler, that somebody's like,
yeah,
they're not telling you, but they're telling you to figure it out type deal. And again, those smallmouths, I feel like they want to win. They're gamers. They want to play, even though it's just how they are, man. They just, Like I remember me and Andy chasing them down on a sand lake, not far from here, I think. And we'd see them, and they were like up on sand, shallow sand, and we'd throw like a popper or a hair jig at them and catch them. And then once they got onto that, or we broke up the school, then we just go into the school at like 100 and pick out the biggest one, and then chase that one down. We would chase them, and I said if I told you half mile and I was wrong, it's because we went a mile. And we just chased them full go, and Andy be on the team tournament, and Andy's on the trolling motor, and I'm just like using like a little drop shot with an 1/8 ounce bait and a little tiny Kitech, and I'm constantly just pitching it at him off Andy's hip, just throwing it in front of him, and that bass just keeps shooting past it. We just keep shooting past it, and we're chasing forever. I'm like, don't let him go, don't let him. And we did this to like for our whole bag. We took 3rd place. Wow. Chasing I got one big 5-pounder in top water, and we did this the rest of the day. Chase him down. All of a sudden, you get to a point where like it'll take a break for deeper water, and so it's playing with you all the time, dropping this bait 25 times in front of this fish's face, and then all of a sudden it'll break off like that. And so we break off, and then I just long bomb that thing and put it out in front of the direction they were going. And I mean, dude, I think it was 100% of the time that we could do it.
Wow!
All of a sudden, just take zzz, and you
as soon as they would break,
he'd break away and go, and now the boat's away, and just chuck that thing in the direction they're going. And they just always come. It's like they think they won. It's like they think they won the game, and they just eat it. It's like he's seen it. Huh. He's seen it 20 times.
Dude, that's sweet.
And not. But I think they have that little bit of gamer to them. Yep. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, shit. Nonetheless. Yeah. I don't recommend maybe blowing up your best fishing spot in a tournament and start chasing down bass out of them. But in that particular instance, when stuff wasn't working in the afternoon, the power of just being able to keep them around, or just even largemouth or something, you see them cruising around, kind of post spawn and funky.
You do that with them too?
Oh yeah, throw like a ring fry or something out in front of the direction that they're going, and sometimes they'll eat it. Because generally, the rule of thumb is if you've seen them, a largemouth, he saw you.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to bite.
Right.
But smallmouths don't play by that same set of rules all the time. So
that makes sense.
Sometimes you can see them, and they still bite it,
That's what I've learned from them good sight fishermen is, like, they'll almost, like, intentionally make themselves see the fish and make the fish see them so they can play that game.
Dude, Corey Johnston, anyone watching Bass Elites, pay attention to Corey Johnston. He's like literally in my world, he's the best at doing that. And he's awesome at bed fishing. So I'm not talking bed fishing. Yeah. He's really good at doing that. And he just won a derby doing it with perspective mode, a whole bunch of crap going on. But the times I fished with him and stuff and seeing him from the Great Lakes stuff that he grew up doing to, just other lakes you just wouldn't think of where the water's clean. Catching largemouth and smallmouth that aren't spawning but are so shallow you can use your eyes. It's a really cool thing when somebody has that knack to be able to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you mentioned you like to throw a popper a little bit. Is there like a popper you like? It seems like you got like the blooping poppers and then like the
that's
more walking ploppers.
I'm glad you got into that. I actually use a new one that's the Shimano World Pop.
Oh yeah.
And it came out of Japan. It's like the perfect little size. And what I like about it is it walks and pops. So if you just work it like a spook, I can just make it walk like that. And then if I want to pop it, I just got to do the mortal pull and bloop, bloop. And then you get that. And then it's got that little like flash reflector stuff in there, and I just love that. A good working popper is a good working popper. So I throw it down south. Again, it's got versatility. I can use it to walk, especially when they nip at it. Sometimes you need to wound it then and like make it to get them to actually bite it, or leave it in one spot. Maybe if I think that there's a better or something there, but in that super clear water, especially with smallmouth that got eyes, and you've seen it. Everyone that fishes for smallmouth on these glacial lakes seen it. You throw a popper out there and 4 black missiles come up underneath it and they're just like staring at it. And that little bit of something, man, they just bite it. What ends up happening, it's always like a big boil next to it, and then the next one just bites the little feather treble off the back, and that's what I get. But dude, it absolutely lands them. So, I mean, that's a good one. Otherwise, I'm the Evergreen SB is always a good one. The shower blow, I love that one as a killer bait. And then you can't go wrong with a 3-hook spook either.
Right. I've been Waypoint has that. The IMA one. It's kind of like the shower blow.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that one. It's like Yeah.
I like that one better than a shower blow.
Do you? I'll have to
Like-
try it then. I'm a fan of any of that crap.
And I love a shower blow, but that IMA, it seemed like I could do.
Skimmer? Is it a skimmer? No, it's. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the pencil popper one. Like
Yeah, yeah.
And it seems like you can work it at more variable speeds than the shower blow.
Sweet.
Like the shower blow, sometimes when you're doing that weird slow to fast stuff, sometimes would like
Play on.
yeah. And that bait, and it just gets bit. But if
I'll have
it's
to try
not
that
that, I
one.
like that big shower blow. But I've heard good things about what is it, that Vixen?
Oh yeah, Reaction Vixen. That
Is
one's
that more of a river deal or?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I have some of the OGs original, and then I know it went away for a while. Then Paycheck Baits made one. I don't know how all that worked out. Now the real one's back.
Sure.
And yeah, I used to do real well on both the little one. I think more for its time, that little one was one of the few that had 3 hooks on it. For
Yeah.
being that small, so I think that's why people like the
evergreen
Riley.
one?
No, the paycheck.
Oh,
the
yeah,
repo
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
one
yeah.
we're talking about, or
The
Vixen?
Vixen.
It
Yeah.
was the paycheck repo. That So the Vixen, it has 3. It's got 3 hooks on it, and it was one of the first ones that did that. And the bait's actually been around for forever, and it was one of those that you could have to buy on eBay for $70 when they discontinued it or
Yeah.
something. But I don't find myself using it nearly as much. And again, where I would do really well was always the Mississippi River, and I just don't get there quite as much as I used to.
Sure.
But I guarantee it would be in my tackle box. I have a tournament there this year. I'll have one in there. Maybe
Yeah,
I think
dude.
it's like September. It might be a good time for it.
Absolutely. The other one, this is one Walls turned me on to, that Waypoint's got right now. It's a Imakatsu, and it's got like a metal. It looks like a shower blow, but it's got, instead of like the plastic cups, it's got metal
Ooh, that's got to be nice.
like cups. So I guess it like throws like.
So is that you said both those baits are from Imakatsu?
Yeah, dude. I'm
Yeah,
like
sweet.
I'm almost. Let's take like a 2 and I'll grab them. Like,
Yeah.
and look at them. No, the one is from Ima.
Oh yeah. That was it. Ima and then Imakatsu. That's right.
All of them. So I forget what it's called. If you go to Waypoint's website, they got it on there. But while we're nerding out,
Dude.
yeah, and that's that Ima one.
Hell yeah.
I thought I got a few Shimano baits, but not that World Pop.
Yeah, I
Left
saw
is-
you got some of the flat sides behind me somewhere.
Yeah,
That cast, that's the one you're talking about right there.
That's a
Vixen.
Vixen, yeah. Those you can't find anywhere. This that Imakatsu. It's called the Iron Mouth. Yeah,
I like that.
that thing's kind of cool. That Shimano crank I dig is
The Macbeth.
that. To be honest with you, like the one I don't think anyone throws probably is the one I like. and
The World
it's-
Crank.
It's the baby one.
Let me see it.
I gotta find it. I don't know if it's in here.
Like the really little one?
Yeah.
Like the Macbeth 30 something or whatever it is? The little crappie guy?
Dude, I smashed.
That's what I like to hear. Shimano, I'll be calling you in the morning for a whole bunch more of those little crappie ones. I love tackle time.
God dang it. It might be actually. No. Yeah, fuck it.
This one's shaped really unique too. It's got some.
It is.
It does something.
Yeah.
It's like in there. It's pretty wild.
They only had a few left. I had to pick one.
Yeah.
I had to grab one before they left.
That's the
but
kind of JDM baits I like to get.
It's fun shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun. They God, they make me poor, but I love those
Yeah,
guys.
they do, don't they?
Worth it.
Well, and you think you're throwing something that not many people are throwing out on your home water, and anybody who's serious about bass fishing's a tackle collector at the end of the day too.
Oh, you're trying to get that little extra edge. I remember, like, dude, look at Jim Moyna.
Yeah,
what he did with the new tool,
Yep,
right?
No doubt.
Mark Raveling.
Yep.
With the Magwort.
Everybody
used
everything in the sport is somebody comes.
Fujita, everybody who's really Kevin Van Dam with the crankbait.
And it ain't so much. It ain't. I mean, every now and then you see like a chatterbait that was pretty
Brett Hyatt.
new to its own class that became a class, but usually all you're seeing are baits refined,
right?
And that's why it is a knockoff industry. But really, almost everything's a knockoff of something else when you come right down to it. But more and more perfection comes out of it with little things. I definitely didn't come up with the first Ned head, but in my opinion, I came out with the best one for now.
Right,
but again, what I say, somebody always comes along and is going. So you got to keep on your game and keep coming out with stuff. But you just you got to that's the thing about it is a Cinco is just a worm. Pinging a minnow is just they've been doing it for a long time. They're just utilizing new tools and strategies and techniques to be more efficient with it, where before you were just throwing it out there knowing you could catch a suspender. Right. You might as well have been fishing in the swimming pool if you didn't know what was out there.
Only one guy played the guitar first. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. And
that'd be like saying, "Oh, that's a copycat,"
and that's the first guitar. No, there's something to be there's something special about the first acoustic guitar.
Like the Les Paul is still like that was not the first guitar,
right? Just like automobiles,
right? The Stratocaster, the Corvette, the Camaro,
or anything. Just because I see an old Chevy that looks mint doesn't mean I want to pull my
Ford
bass boat with it around
my.
And that's just what people grow, and they take things and then they make it a little bit better. Some companies take stuff and cheapen it to make it a better selling point, which is fine. That's totally fine. That's again what I said before. Not everyone in this game fishes for the same reason. Some want value. Yeah, I'm fishing for trophies and a dream. Right. To accomplish. Man, I don't want my hook to bend if I can afford it, or if I can change it. So, and then some companies take it and make better.
Well, you saw it off the dock.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Just before with that.
That was awesome. Don't say it yet because I got to call them and get some.
All right.
Before you.
Well, it's not. This ain't gonna go up probably.
Oh, okay.
This week.
You can do whatever you want then. It ain't mine to say, so you can do it.
I almost don't want to. The problem with that bait is I haven't gotten to see I can tell.
Oh,
I can tell.
Yeah.
But I haven't I guarantee you I'll be wishing I cut this after I bust 20 pounds on that bait.
It's going to be awesome.
In a week
It's versatile. And what it's doing, I mean, we could say it's like a form of a glide bait.
Oh, you could say
whatever you want to say.
You could say Nessie copied the flag.
Yep.
And you could say Raid copied both of those, but I would venture to argue that Raid made just that whole system better.
Right. And that's what happens. Somebody's gonna come out, and change and just change things for different styles of fishing and what you do. And some companies have hook restrictions and what they can and can't use and don't have that hook. There's just a lot of things that make up tackle that you can't just look at a mag draft and say, is it the best? Well, I'll give it that right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But somebody's going to come along with. They've already have. You look at the Bass Mafia versions of a similar bait.
Yep.
Obviously, we know Chris had a big phone, but they're totally different in how they are. And they got the one that drags now, and the hook comes out the top, which is more my speed. I like to fish them on the bottom because I'm from Minnesota.
Right.
And that's how I like to do it. But then, to have. Where before you'd have to try to hook a freestyle major. So what I'm saying is things come out that are different and better, and that's why I just built a shop just for holding my fishing tackle.
That's right.
Because that's just how it goes, and that's
totally
how it works.
Well, the guys who I know with the mag draft, they would say, I love a mag draft, but I can't burn it as fast as I want to.
No, you can't.
Right? For
example, it's a pain in the ass to fish, actually. It really is.
It's got to,
You've got to feel it.
Yeah, it's like a skeeter. It's got to match
like
speed.
Like a marabou jig, man. You got to just feel it. That's the thing. People don't understand, you just reel it back. It's more than that because you got to feel what the bait's doing.
A different swim bait, it might look the exact same. But it's going to be
fish totally different.
Correct.
Yep. Could have a belly roll, could have a different kick. And that's the kind of stuff. Will I have mag drafts? For sure I will. Will I also have these other versions of them? Yeah. I mean, I'm watching Lucas flip Berkeley, and what am I doing? I'm texting him saying, dude, okay, we're only using 1 or 2 colors, so I got that down. Do I need anything else? Nope, that's what you want, man. That's what we're, and it's just like, you can only handle that stuff for so long before you're like, okay, well, it's putting fish in the boat. But let me say one thing. Do you ever get where you got so much stuff going on, or you know how to fish so many different ways, that then you're just like, you feel like you have all these different options? There's something to be said about back in the day when I just showed up with a jig, either a football jig if they're deep, and a 3/8 skipping jig if they're under boat docks. And it worked for me, dude.
It works. It works.
Now on a swim jig for in between, and like it just totally worked. And that, but
I don't know how I could go to the lake without 9 rods.
Now I'm on damn YouTube trying to understand Japanese to see like what the hell, how do I work this dang thing?
I've used the translate feature on my phone more in the last year than my whole life.
If you've heard of Alec Morrison, he's tearing it up in the MLF. The kid broke. I mean, he's just been a little kind of like Chad Smith was to us. He's been a kind of an apprentice of our group that ran around from a young age, and now he's just a phenomenal fisherman. But I don't know if he knows Japanese or what he does, but he's the one that I call, and I'm like, all right, how do I do this? Because he's young, he's dialed into it, and man, it's the Japanese are good at fishing, and my little take on that is they don't have many lakes and a lot of fishermen. So those fish, they're either really good at reaction fishing, or they're really good at finesse fishing when they come over, when they get here. Because reaction, you can make anything bite a reaction bait, given the right circumstances. And then finesse, otherwise then you got to go down to 4.2 line and all that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden they come over here and they go to the Arkansas River, and that crap ain't so tough. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't so tough. Like, me and you would be crying.
Happy knows how to putt.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I just watched that again for the first time in a while. Yeah. I was all happy you learned how to putt.
I don't date hockey players. Well, good, because I'm a bass fisherman.
No, my favorite. I'm a hockey player, but I'm playing golf today. That's the best.
Mr. Gilmore, I'm your caddy.
God, it's the best.
Well, now your back's going to hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. No, that's a great movie, but forget what we were talking about. I got a little sidetracked by Mr. Gilmore, but Japanese, dude. Yeah. They take things to, like...
detail.
It's almost like it's an art form, or more of like, it's a different culture. Like, American way is build it, mass produce it, X what doesn't sell good, and they're more like, we just want to make like the best lures, it seems like.
Yeah, which they have a lot of misses. Tons of misses. With that, but that's going to come anytime you have innovation. Mm-hmm. Here we do have an abundance of lakes and abundance of largemouth. So we have that good old boy style of American bass fishing, throwing that plug, that spinnerbait, a chatterbait around, stuff like that, and catching fish our way. But then, I mean, the Cinco's the most fish catchingest bait out there, and that was a Japanese bait, and been knocked over 10 times over, and nobody can seem to get or don't want to get it.
Right.
That, you know what I mean? It's different. A Yamamoto's different. And, but we saw, I think back even before my time, Skeet Reese and Aaron Martins were out there drop shotting. Where do you think that came from? And
was that from Japan too?
I'm guessing. I mean, I would imagine that it was at the same time like a Nako rig started coming around. Yeah, well, it hit Cali, but where did it come from? So either saltwater or Japan generally is the trends that those finessier style baits coming from. So the West Coast seemed to have, they were dialed into JDM tackle before
they were the
everybody.
Closest to Area 51
for sure. Well,
and Japan.
Well,
so which one is it?
Done.
It's either aliens or
Done.
the Japanese.
Done.
Or both.
That's right.
That's where I got this, Area 51.
I'd like to go to Japan.
Dude, same.
Tackle
so
stores. Tackle stores and eat. That's really all I need to do. I don't really care about much else, but I want to.
Like a JDM, like a legit T-shirt from one of them tackle shops?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd have to bring, like, a lot of money.
Oh, God, I'd spend my life savings.
Find it when the yen's low and just roll. Just bring a suitcase with your stuff and just...
Oh, I would buy a suitcase of bite powder, suitcase of swim
that
baits,
we'd have, like, tungsten putty. We'd have, all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Number 12 and number 14 treble hooks. Just like, what do I need these for? Yeah,
we'd have the 14 millimeter koi keys.
A $50 urchin.
Thing's wild, ain't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You throw it ever?
Oh yeah, I mean, I actually had a few and then sent them to my buddy that I was telling you about. But I mean, I've seen them on all the right guys' deals and stuff like that, and I've just learned fishing places like Lake Minnetonka and Lake Mille Lacs so long, being able to see the same fishery, for essentially 10 to 15 years, and I've just watched them change to. They used to gobble a Ned rig the second, wouldn't even hit the bottom. They just ate it because it was different. It wasn't spiraling like a tube. It was different, popped up in their face. And I'm just watching that, you think your lake is getting tough or it's on a downhill cycle, and then all of a sudden you just show them something that they have never seen before. And it's better than it's ever been. So, I'm always down with that learning stuff. And
Yeah.
again, same stuff, whether it was the club days or...
Hey guys, Aaron Teal here with Vocelka Fishing and Customs here, and excited to talk to you about my new signature series rod, the Puppet Master. My #1 confidence technique is by far offshore power finesse fishing, so we've spent a lot of time and a lot of years creating the perfect bottom contact power finesse rod, specifically designed to fish 3/8 to 3/4 ounce football jigs, tubes, swing heads, dragging a swim bait on the bottom, and any bait that you need to manipulate with your hand and land that fish. This rod is perfect for it. The big thing that we found that was an issue with other rods is they were either too crisp and sensitive, where they were too fast, or they weren't quite sensitive enough and they had the right action. So what Dane built with this rod is the most sensitive bottom contact rod I've ever held in my hands. But the big thing is, on a long cast, it's got the power to drive that hook home, but more importantly, it's got a parabolic action that's going to bend deep down in the rod to make sure that, let's say, football jig or goby tube isn't popping that smallmouth's mouth open and keeping that bait in the back of their head where it belongs, allowing you to have increased leverage and landing more bass. You're going to have to pry this rod from my cold dead hands. This is the Puppet Master. You can find it on VocelkaFishing.com or at Waypoint Angler Supply. Check them out.
Whatever, I just learned at a young age, if you stop learning and you just go off of what got you there. Now, will that same stuff that I used, when me and you fish at Silverado still catch them?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Once everybody starts throwing this, we'll start blasting them on that stuff again.
Yeah, exactly. No spinnerbait's going to get choked. Yeah.
Have you got the inside scoop from anybody on that thing? Like
no,
when
not
they're
much.
Throwing it,
no, I
how
mean,
they're throwing it?
No, that's. And if I knew, I probably wouldn't even talk about it right now.
That's
just
fair.
Stuff like that is just, you know what I mean. It's just fun. It's just
I'm talking about it because I probably don't know what I'm talking about still.
Well, and you do a lot with the boys over there at Waypoint and stuff like that, and they, hey, I'm a fan. Obviously, I'm a big Shields guy. You utilize Shields for so much hunting, fishing, clothing, and dog supplies, everything.
They got it.
But Waypoint's a little bit different. They carry stuff that not everybody carries. They're a JDM shop essentially, and they're tapped in. They got connections, and they're bringing in some. Odd baits. I don't really see them competition much, and let's be honest, I travel all over the U.S., so I'm always into going into a cool tackle store when I see one.
Dude, and they're all over the U.S., and it seemed like they're like that kind of shop with that little extra character.
Yeah.
We just didn't seem to, Cappers, I feel like, was the closest thing to that up here, besides maybe Christofferson's, and no knocks on Shields, because, they're just playing in a whole bigger realm.
It's a big
bigger realm. Bigger realm.
Yeah,
Bass Pro's their competition, not
exactly.
Guys
and and like I said, they carry, they carry a lot of the good stuff, but at the same time, there's just little specific stuff that when it gets over here, like I said, a lot of times the JDM stuff is a flop. When it comes over here, you can't cast it. It's too small. It's not what you thought it was going to be looking online. It's just a miss. And I've worked with a lot of JDM. I understand that's what they're doing, know. And then another thing to know is that a lot of times in Japan, they're fishing from shore a lot. It's not that many
recently.
boats like we have here in all these different lakes. It's quite expensive to get a boat on the water and to have one there and all that, so even more so, they got to go for these pressured fish from the bank. Well, some of that just ain't going to translate to our 20, 21-foot bass boats here and fishing Kentucky Lake.
You ever seen them Japanese little bass
Yeah,
boats?
they're awesome.
Dude, they're
No,
so
they're
badass.
Trick. They're super trick, yeah.
So badass.
Yeah, like I'd be more into that than a canoe or
Same.
a kayak. I
Same.
would be more into like getting me a little
Dude, I
a
would
little
love to have a little
16 and a half
ripper.
footer that's just this little
Yeah.
but it looks
Little
just
bougie thing?
Yeah, it's
dude.
decked out. It's awesome.
That's
yeah.
like the Mini Cooper's cool. Like
Yeah,
Bufflin, I'll never forget. Bufflin drove to my house in his Mini Cooper.
Did
I was
he
like,
really?
How did you fit in that thing? Well, like, dude, like that's kind of
Whatever,
like the Mini
Bufflin-
Cooper of bass boats.
Whatever Bufflin does is cool.
Oh,
so,
fucking
I
you're right.
need a Mini Cooper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I forget where I was going with that, but it's crazy. Those boats are sweet, and the fishing's way different there. The shore fishing's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if they kill all the bass or if they just don't film the release because they're scared of getting a ticket.
So but don't quote me on this, but I did just recently watch something online, or maybe even a show. But I think they changed the rule in Japan now, maybe. But don't quote me. But I know that they had like we would with a snakehead or something crazy that kill on sight. You know what I mean? Like don't put it back, throw it up in the weeds for the raccoons, kill it.
Yep.
Ethically kill it.
Yep.
But yeah, that I think that's kind of how they were there. It was invasive, and I get it. There's invasives, but then again, sometimes like zebra mussels, you just can't. And Eurasian milfoil,
Right.
You're just not going to win the pole battle. So maybe let's not kill everything else in the process. Let's just learn to manage it. Because
Right.
what's happened, and look at the positives. I'm sure there's things that got negatively affected by the zebra mussel and is not doing good, but the smallmouth bass boomed.
Oh yeah.
You
And
know,
I
so
feel like
there's-
the forage don't mind them.
No,
It's a little.
no, they can get away a little bit more. It makes for more grass because the water gets so clear.
Them zebras are pretty
gets
soft when
big.
they're little too, so I feel like
Yeah.
they're like a little boneless wing.
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
a perch or something.
Something,
maybe.
yeah.
I don't know.
For sure.
But I was gonna show you this. Waypoint just got these in, and like if you're losing baits or you only got like one pack left, you ever seen that before? That's like one of the cooler deals I've ever seen. It's hard to like. It's called the Hide Up Ami Stopper, and you basically stab that into your bait, clip it, put the hook through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it'll like your hook comes back through it.
Yeah.
And
So-
then,
but you could do it on a Texas rig. You could do it like in two spots on a Texas rig. You could do it up on the gap, up on the like a Nico rig. You could do
that's
it.
hide up too,
Yeah. Like
That's the kind of stuff I'm saying I come home with.
Dude.
Just a bunch of that stuff and topwater baits and jerk baits.
I feel like one of the things that the Japanese are the best at that they don't get enough credit for to me is terminal tackle.
Yeah,
hacks.
tinkering.
Like,
That's what I'm
oh,
saying. If I
man.
go to a place like a Waypoint or there's a Carolina fishing tackle I've been to a few times, and that's
Yeah.
a specialty shop. And I don't know if they're open or closed now, but that's all I would do is go through that kind of stuff. Well, hell, I can afford the terminal. I can't afford to be buying too many topwater baits
Right.
or plastics for that matter.
I feel like there's only a few things that I've seen that like
Yeah, these
they-
you almost need to have this day and age.
that's supposedly how they're doing the koiki.
Yeah.
And then they're doing like downshot leaders, like with like a heavy fluorocarbon downshot and like a clip-on.
And you want
weight.
that swivel too to be able to get rid of that line twist.
Totally. You got like these.
A lot of that stuff, though, I'll tell you what, I didn't need to do a lot of this because I'll use braid to fluoro even on a bait caster.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then I just don't get all that twist in there as if I went straight fluoro on
Sure.
it. And I can use a little bit softer rod. I've seen these before.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you.
This is the Nico hack right here.
Yeah, so you can Nico rig anything. I mean, Fothergill and I were talking the other day, and he was talking about how he's mixing in Nicoing Not a Worm, and that's been something that he's mixing in on brush.
Whatever he's doing, I'm good with.
that-
That's what I'm saying. I've done some stuff like that myself, like flip over beavers and stuff on hooks, and more of a lighter weightless, let it fall back into stuff like that. And there's no doubt about it. And nothing catches fish like a weightless piece of plastic.
Dude, it's crazy. So that deal,
Yeah.
I'm learning more about that, like uses for that deal. I'm gonna show you one of them. Yeah, dude. So I'm gonna show the camera this too. But
Keep that thing horizontal.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
What I use it for in the past was
or keep it vertical. I don't even know which way I'm trying to say, but keep that thing up. Yeah.
Keep your line tight,
Yeah,
right?
so you
Like
can get,
so you're
so
not.
you can get, so you can get it to quiver.
Or if you're demeeking and you don't want to like kink it over every time, but what I used it for in the past was swim jigs and anything I was reeling through grass. Like I could get a thick bait like this, swimming it through where I could usually only get like a skinny dipper through, and all of a sudden I'm reeling these big baits through grass, just putting that over my knot.
That's really cool.
And then a Carolina rig over the swivel. So when your weight's
so you're not
beating
banging
into it-
down on your deal. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So that's a decoy eye guard. That's like one of the most
Decoy does a lot of cool things.
Dude,
like
they're like wizards. They're like wizards. So I think, I don't know. I nerd out over that terminal stuff. What I'm curious about is how you could use this to not have to re-rig any bait you ever throw. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's unique, man. It'll
Like I haven't played with them yet, but I feel like there's like if there's a hack you could use on every bait to make it not slide or
well, it
get
can ruin a
messed
cast.
up.
Just even if you get a bait that's sliding down on you when you cast or whatever, to be able to keep it up. And plus, they like those chewed up plastics a little bit more.
Dude, they do. And
I
if you
think-
could super glue the nose and then put that on the back so like
Yeah.
it doesn't tear down that hook shank more, like on a Goldeneye swimmer or Smeltnator or whatever it
I've
might
done
be.
that. I've taken like toothpicks and pushed them through the eye to keep
Oh,
the
yeah.
plastic up, like
That
a
works
fluke
mint.
when I'm jerking. But I'd rather use that.
That I feel like because you can put a hook through it is
Yeah.
going to be a little, and it's a little bit wider. Well, they make different sizes. That one seems like a tiny one.
This one seems tough.
That one seems like I
But
want
this one might be good if you want to put it
in a
like,
RoboWorm.
Run it into the, because they show here like you could run it into the eye.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? Just a little piece of it, so you have to hook through that.
oh, dude, for nose
eye.
hooking.
That's what I'm saying. I kind of like that too.
He's got it up on that Texas rig there, up on that
Up to hold
bend.
that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, little like I'm a freaking weirdo nerd. Most guys just
That's why I've
jerk
liked
off
this
on the
since day
swim baits
one.
there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, this new little rubber snow cone.
That's what I'm about. That's what I'm saying.
The devil's in the details, right?
I love throwing a glide bait and stuff like that, but honestly, they drive me crazy when they're in my rod locker. They hook every other rod.
Oh,
in the
yeah, I
damn thing.
suppose.
It's like, God dang it, And Smallies up here will just ram the hell out of that thing too. Just
Dude.
come up and you're like, I had them on for a second.
That's how I feel about A-rigs. There's nothing worse than having, in
I
my
hate an
opinion, than
A-rig.
having an A-rig on my deck,
I
in
hate
my
it.
locker, and I'm just not good enough with the thing either.
We've had good years on Mille Lacs, earlier.
Uh-huh.
Now with Ford sonar, like it costs me more fish than we catch on it, and you can just see it. You can see that chandelier coming through the water. You can see the whole school follow behind it. So if they're not in like the right mood,
Yeah.
like if I didn't know the lake, and you could throw an Alabama rig on the lake, especially in the fall, I mean you got a chance. You know what I mean? You got a chance of getting a check.
Yep.
And even winning a tournament for sure. But you have that chance. But if you're a good fisherman on the lake, no, I shouldn't say that. If you know the lake, I think it does more damage now than it does good. But I'm sure there's days that they're just not thinking about it and
I
eating.
feel like they don't.
Right.
I catch walleyes on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I catch them. Like I said, I do catch a few, but I honestly, it's been 3 years since
Yeah.
I've even put it in my. Like I know different guys that guide with it and stuff like that. And Andy's always testing new ones for the hog farmer because he helps out Scott some in the off season. So he's always testing new and better ones, and they got some awesome ones. Like little guys coming, like stuff that's more tweaking my interest, like forward sonar, more like targeting stuff. I think is cool. But as far as like just throwing it out on a good spot, man, it just blows up the spot.
I feel like it spooks them.
Oh, it does. No, I can watch them.
But then my buddies like Andy Walls and guys like
Yeah.
that bust them on them, and I'm like,
Which they do, and again, shallower, maybe stuff like that, like the old school. I mean, you definitely catch them.
oh, there's a deal to it.
I mean, who was it? What was Noah throwing with their crankbait?
A rig and a crankbait.
A rig and a crankbait.
They were eating a rig that. Granted,
I
think
I
it
know
was like
Figgy was up there, and I watched
throwing a
or
rig
was on
too.
some of that. Right, and so that's what I'm saying. There,
the
and,
September window
and-
when
but
it kind of starts to
you know
go,
what though? When they were doing that, I was actually out of town for it, but I had just gotten back in town, and I didn't go out on the water that day. I usually check schedules to make sure I'm not right over the top of somebody's tournament if I'm guiding or whatever. But I wasn't catching them on it, and I couldn't. That year, I don't think I caught a single. That year that they did that was probably 3 years ago now. I couldn't duplicate it, and I know Figgy well, and he told me exactly where, and I couldn't do it. So I couldn't get the bites that he was getting to almost win that tournament, and I know pretty exactly right where he was and what he was doing. So kudos to them. I mean, again,
Totally.
that's the thing about fishing and
Yeah.
tackle, is it is truly. What you catch them on gets in is your thing, and you can't like that's majority of the fishing population just wants to know my fishing spots out there. I could sell them to you, and you won't hurt me at all.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like except for maybe I just show up and there's a boat on a spot that I want to fish right now. Outside of that, I mean, there's a whole thing to it. You got to have a lot of the know-how to fish in certain areas, and I find it even me. I'm a fairly good fisherman, and I can get, a fighter or somebody can throw me a good spot. You could, somebody, and I get there and I just don't quite get it. But then if I went there with you
Yeah.
and I watch you catch them, well, now I've learned something. Now I get it. And that's where, that's the part of fishing I love the most right there.
Yeah, you just got me thinking about that Mille Lacs day because I was fishing that day, and it was interesting because, and that format to me is really challenging out there.
So you're talking the
Champions Tour,
Yeah,
every fish counts.
Honestly, I've been shying away from it even if I could have fished it. It scares the crap out of me too.
Out there especially because it's not a numbers lake for me, and I had some big ones going in practice, but like that first half when you're not getting enough bites,
And you're watching people tally it up,
Yep.
I'd spin out.
and it was like I started fairly shallow, and it just that clouds, it made me feel like they weren't going to push up real much that day, but it was kind of a fall day.
Yep.
And sure as shit, no, and Figgy end up busting them shallow.
That was that same tournament?
Same tournament,
Yep.
yep. And I had ended up catching big fish of the tournament in 24 feet of water.
Yeah.
So there was some
Oh,
fish
there.
going,
Oh, yeah, no
deep,
doubt.
but
That's
it
nice.
was not the deal.
I'd like to know where that spot was in 24.
That's I'll never tell a soul.
Weren't you rocking? Didn't you used to rock the big power poles for a while?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you were so easy to tell when it was you. And I ran 10s for a couple different years, and all I hear, I take my wrap off right away when the season's over, and all I do is people just texting me saying those 10s give you way more away than the wrap does, And you're like, maybe they give me more space if I just leave the wrap on it,
I actually found that spot because of those talons falling off my boat.
Oh, that's beautiful.
During the tournament in the NABC in 2016.
Yeah, you did good in that. I was in that tournament.
We had 7.
Did you win? Oh no, you had
No, we
7.
had
Oh
7.
no,
Then we had second the following
Second,
year.
that was it.
Then we won that
Then you
year
won
after
it,
year
yeah, that was it.
after that. But I found that spot. I caught the big fish on. We were down and out, and all we could do was idle. Top 2 jackplate bolts were broken. Talons were hanging below, so we had to tilt them up, tie them to the back seat post. And it was in an area of the lake I had zero confidence in. And I remember we had nothing all day, but my tournament partner kept my head on and just idled over, very isolated looking awesomeness. Got very lucky and caught 7 fish for 23 some pounds.
They're all on it like that?
Yeah, all our fish came off that spot. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Usually, I've definitely some good spots like that out there. 24 is getting pretty deep, though.
We had second off that same spot.
You're
the
not the
next
first
year.
one. There's been more and more people. Like I'm not above. I'll flirt with 20 all day long and stuff like that. I will, but I find that you can catch either a really big giant or just a bunch of rats.
Really?
Like if there was a spot for a catch 'em all format, some of those out there, they'll just be like the rats all over it. You just maybe sit there and.
I don't know where to find
But
them fish.
they're just, you'll see them when you go over them, but they're usually out there really deep.
Sure.
That seems to be where I actually can find schools of like, oh, these guys are all really small. Let's
Yeah.
go. Or you'll see a couple big ones in there, but the small ones are on it so quick that it kind of blows it all up. But
Sure.
yeah, I've had a couple people show me some monster bass lately that came out of real deep.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
that ain't real deep. And I mean, like Ontario's in 40, 50 feet, Champlain, throwing fishing bottom even.
Mille Lacs
but
don't even get that deep.
Nah, it doesn't get
So
that deep.
I feel like
That's pretty
12
deep.
and 12 and on is deep to me
Yeah, I
out
usually
there,
I
kinda.
usually put it at anything over
15.
15
Yep.
is getting deep, but still always good. Like I said, it don't. That's the thing. You can go catch a freaking 5.5, 6 pounder in 24 feet, and then your next closest waypoint is in 4 feet,
right.
and show them catch a 5 pounder right behind that. The
Yeah.
depth doesn't. Certain times
No.
of year, like when you get out in the fall and stuff, but still even then. I'm at my deepest fishing, deep October, November, out there real deep. And then all of a sudden we pull up to the top of a reef, and it's like there's freaking 200 bass sitting up there, and they're just maybe not as easier to catch or like they used to be, but they're there, man, and it's pretty wild.
What I learned is how subtle the stuff they'll use.
Oh yeah,
It's mind-blowing.
No doubt. No
Like,
doubt. The bigger the stuff, the more jaggedy and bunch of broken rock or a big giant boulder it is, everybody's found them fish. So those used to play, but now that's because that's the only thing we knew how to get over with the 2D sonar.
Right.
Exactly.
It seems like you got to think of, and it's really hard to do out there because you're looking at a valley of juice.
Oh, yeah.
Everything looks good on
No,
Mille Lacs,
That's
so
it. Until it doesn't.
right.
And now,
start to look at zebras too
everything I'm seeing on bass fishing and everybody I'm talking to, maybe that's where I need to be. It's just out in the middle over nothing, chasing them down.
Well, I was curious. Have you ever seen that go down out there?
Sure, to some, but I don't. What I don't know yet is it's a big lake for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But so was Lake Ontario, and that's what I was doing there. Lake Ontario, I cared less about. I want to see a little rock and stuff down there, but I just kept seeing smallies rolling through in little packs. And I just kept making, I'd get to the end of my drift, turn around, roll back through, and just live scope till I see dots and start throwing at them. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't ever know if they're moving or what they're doing, so I got some of that. But, as far as not on nothing, there's a lot of walleye, a lot of other stuff that'll all act bassy and go down and look at stuff. But I've always said, and I'll just throw this one out there, man, boulders were always the way to catch them, and a boulder will always work. And good rock spots, good ledges hold the schools. But man, if you can just take something the size of this garage and it's just sand and everything else around it is rock, and I just gave away a really, really good one for catching really, really big ones on that lake. But the key is different. It's something different, and I can see them a hell of a lot better on forward sonar if I don't have a lot of hardness all around them.
Yeah.
And I think people literally left those fish alone, idle over that, and just, no, this ain't what I'm looking for. That's the opposite of a boulder.
My head is going a lot of
And there's
good
a
places
lot
with
of
that,
that
and I'm not
on
even
that.
gonna
There's a
speak
lot of
my
that
mind.
on that lake, but you see it. Think about this. When you're shallow and you're looking for them on beds, and you run up on a group of pre-spawners, what are they sitting in?
Sand,
A sandy hole.
ditch.
Just a little something different that glows back at you. I always have the white zebra mussels in it because the wind blows them dead ones around and they collect in a hole.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
all just be sitting there in the spoot. Well, I'm guessing they do that in 20 too.
It's funny you say that. And I guess Sturgeon Bay is a prime example where they get in them little shipping canals, and those I would say are far more pronounced than some of the ones on Mille Lacs, but it's the same.
Yeah, like
deal.
dugout. You're talking about like the dugout stuff. They're real shallow. It's like like leading into canals.
Mille Lacs has that. It's maybe just doesn't look like a dredged out
No,
shipping
and they
canal
don't let
on
you
Google
dredge
Earth, right?
Mille Lacs anymore.
Right.
So no, they don't. But it has some natural stuff like that we idle over, and you see it on side imaging where it's like all rock.
Right.
And then you got that strip that just cuts right through everything, and it's just a quick dip.
Yeah.
And I don't know what those are, but my guess would be
Bigfoot?
no. Well, it was made by glaciers.
Yep.
So glaciers pushed down,
Mm-hmm.
drowned up the top layer, and then melted. And as
Yep.
it didn't back up. So as it melted, it retreated, but it melted away, which means everything that was in its path just fell where it fell.
Yep.
And I don't know this for sure, but I've heard glaciers can be like a mile high and stuff like that,
Yeah.
big mounds of ice. So that's going to take how many thousands of years to slowly melt.
Oh, yeah.
Since we've been alive, they've been telling us the glaciers up north are gone, and there's still some there. You know, like I'm not saying I'm not getting into a whole thing there with global warming, but what I'm saying is, as it melts, think of that water has to escape, and what does water do to land and streams and rivers? It cuts them out, and I bet you that was water escaping. Like it's doing in my yard right now from where I put my shop. I'm trying to make grass seed, but the water wants to drain right, and so it keeps cutting this little stream out through my stuff that I keep having to put over until the grass will come in. So I'm guessing that maybe some of that, but they use those things like a highway. The only problem is they make 0 sense on which way it's gonna go. It's not like a weed line that you're like, oh sweet, there it is, just roll down and it just turns
12 feet. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Dude, you just got me like thinking about, what if...
We're only a couple days away now. You can get out there and figure it all out.
No, with the glaciers. Like,
glaciers blow my mind because I'm an agate guy. So,
but like, think about it. We still have glaciers on the North Pole and South Pole.
Yeah,
what if they just were? What if they've always just been slowly shrinking? So like this global warming stuff, like the glaciers are. Well, what if they've always what if that's still melt off from the ice age?
Okay, well,
you know what I mean? And it's just been
moving.
If
we're listening to science, we have had at least 3 glaciers that we know of that have come down and pushed. I have a whole big scientific poster of it on my wall. Cool. It shows me where the glaciers pushed because they pushed agates around.
Okay.
So that's why I want to know where those glaciers and how they push. So there's been 3 of those that we know of. In history.
Yeah.
But it's been way more than that because they're saying our Earth's like 30 billion years old or something crazy now.
Yeah.
So they went. I know they like doubled it. What they thought the world was, they just essentially doubled it last year and said, no, we were wrong.
Right.
Which science is only science until a new scientist comes around and proves it different or better.
Science should be questioned.
It always changes. It's always going to change and get better. Somebody's going to invent electricity, but then somebody's going to invent an LED,
right?
And it's going to keep going on and on. So it's always going to evolve. But
unless it's suppressed by money.
This is one thing that I do ask people just for fuel of thought. Now, I'm sure humans are screwing up the Earth. I'm sure
Maybe.
we are. I know we are to some degree. But that would be us saying that we are the most superior thing going on in this universe, and I just don't think that we are.
Mm-mm.
So before humans, I think it was before humans. I mean, it's going back a long time. Glaciers have come all the way down here, made this landscape, and then melted away 3 times that they know of, with no humans here to screw that up. They already melted and went away.
Yeah.
And with that, so just like some of that fuel for thought to think about.
I love that shit.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just don't tell me this is how it is just to make a buck. And I'm not saying that, again, we can all do better at cleaning up our environment, just being better survivors while we're here. But that has been kind of where my agates got me into it because they're 1 billion years old.
Yep.
This is a very rare area, but of the world that has Lake Superior agates.
Sure.
It happened 1 billion years ago, they say, when a North American continent split, and lava came up, created Lake Superior.
Yep.
That's why the Superior can get like super, super deep and all the other Great Lakes aren't. It's an anomaly. And then the glaciers pushed that sediment, that lava sediment, down and scattered them all through Minnesota and the valley. So that's what kind of got me into thinking and looking in and like really opening my mind to, well, heck, humans have only, if you look at like a time frame of the world, have you ever seen one of those before? Like a time frame?
I want to.
Of the world, like human beings are like dinosaurs, and human beings fit in like
a speck.
Just this.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's just that kind of stuff just starts to blow my mind on how it.
Will you ever watch like the Graham Hancock stuff? Like,
no,
dude, you need to.
That sounds like it.
It's very like a lot of parallels with that. Like, and I really am not smart enough to probably repeat all of it, but it was like they study like the cataclysmic events and like the fact that they think there was humans around longer than...
that's what I'm into that now. So I do. So that's the stuff that I'm like. I just watched one on Neanderthals, and like that was a whole nother species of human.
Yeah, dude.
That was here and is not here no more. And you like that pyramid. Like how in the hell did they do that at the time frame that they say they did that at, and without having some kind of modern tools? But then again, if you went through a catastrophic event, which we know there's been numerous extinction-style events.
Yep.
Could that take everything man-made and just destroy it over millennia?
If you think about, like, the world swallows itself and, like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or did those,
most of what we
people
build is,
freaking-
like...
Nothing.
We don't build,
We
like...
can't even, especially
megalithic
now.
structures.
We look at a 100-year-old house like that's a solid house. Now they don't last the 30-year loan that they got on them.
Yeah, the Neuschwanstein Castle, the castle in Britain. How did they build those? Have you ever
That's what
seen
I'm saying.
anybody build anything to that, like, magnitude? Like, even Rome. Them pillars?
That's what I'm saying.
have
There's
to-
just
the giants had to walk the earth.
there's a lot, and it goes way back before civilization.
Yeah.
Like when they said there was no civilization, and they're saying now, like, oh man, maybe, and that's the key, right? We don't know nothing. We are just
Right.
like heck. I think it was last year when we were getting all that snow,
Yeah,
and they said Brainerd area broke
a record.
the all-time record.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at the record, and it's only from like 1880 or
Right.
something. Not
It
even
ain't the
maybe
record.
150 years old. Or well,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's like when they started keeping records.
Right.
So we're only basing stuff off of 100. But that goes with a lot of things. I just don't judge a book by its cover, and
For
don't
sure.
make assumptions without getting more information. But yes, I do want to reiterate again. This is like the cheating topic. No, we can, as human beings, we can definitely be better for our planet. And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we are, as of right here and right now, the most advanced form of life here that we can definitely be doing a better job of.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. They have a wide variety of home loan programs in their tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. Just ask me. I trusted Aaron Dagas, a bass fisherman just like you and me, and Supreme Lending's Dream Team to help finance my first home. Contact Aaron Dagas and the Dream Team today by scanning the QR code or giving them a call at 763-326-0677. That's 763-326-0677. Did I catch a 7 in there? Or visit their website, aarondages.supremelending.com. That's AARONDAEGES.supremelending.com.
Leaving it in a good place, but you can't always convince me that
Yeah.
something that's a billion years old is like like animals have been going extinct going extinct well before humans were ever here to make them go extinct.
It almost doesn't make sense how we're here compared to, like, we are
No.
so much different than
I was
animals,
talking
dude.
to my wife about that. The very fact of being here is as hard of a concept as religion, as evolution. Both of them are just so, like, when you really break, like, wait a minute, I was a fish at one point,
Yeah.
or I have the DNA in me of the first, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yep.
I know we're butchering this. 'Cause
No,
this is just conversation. We're
and-
not scientists.
No, and
But-
no one will take us as that, but
Right.
we're exploring the universe together. This is great.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and making some different opinions on it. And yet, man, I just love looking back at that kind of history, bigger than man history. Like I think we already know that there's plenty of humans capable of screwing up literally everything.
Yeah,
A human can definitely screw that up. One single one
right?
can. Did you watch Oppenheimer, that movie?
I need to.
Dude,
That
it's
is on
3
my
hours
list.
of your life, but it's a fast 3 hours, and I'm not usually. But like one point when they were testing the atomic bomb before they dropped it on Japan,
Yeah.
they were making it. Einstein was involved. Obviously, Oppenheimer, all of them were involved in it. There was still a mathematical equation that as it combusted, it would just keep grabbing oxygen or whatever and just keep going through the environment. But somebody made that chance. Somebody took that chance.
So they
And
weren't
that-
sure if they were going to blow up the whole world. at the
They
time.
said the mathematical was like even, hopefully it's a 1%, but whatever, it was still an unknown.
Yeah.
And it had there was a mathematical equation to how it would just keep combusting and chasing whatever it is that it needs, whether it was oxygen or whatever it was, until it implodes the universe. And they took that chance.
Dude.
Now, again, I'm not calling them out because
Right.
it gets in the wrong hands.
Right.
But, I'm just saying, at the same time, man took that chance, is what I learned in that movie. So now I don't trust anything, but I
No,
hear nothing
no.
because they've already done that game. and took that chance on something that could have imploded life on Earth
Well, I think the first
for power.
What's crazy about that too is I think the first documented UFO sightings were like
See, now we're getting
right
into
after that.
Now we're getting way into a whole new thing.
And
But,
I don't have any answers, just questions. But
I mean, I would think you'd have to be living in a pretty sheltered world to think that there's not something living out there. Because I know when I was a kid, maybe I'm misquoting this, but like I thought there was only one galaxy, and it was the Milky Way. And Pluto and Neptune, I don't even know if they're in our galaxy anymore.
I think they banned them.
I think they put them in like, oh, they're somebody else's
I think
moon.
they canceled them.
Oh, there's somebody else's moon or something. I don't know. I know we're butchering this, but
no, I think.
But now there's galaxies everywhere, and I'm seeing pictures of like planets that look just like Earth that are like that they know have to have something living. I don't think there's any
how
question
isn't
that there's not. Yeah, you're right.
If our sun, that thing that gives you cancer, like melanoma, because it burns you so much.
Yeah.
If all those stars at night that we look at
are those,
yeah, and you're telling me there ain't a planet with water with some fish swimming in it,
there's something
orbiting around one of those cajillion suns that have a cajillion planets.
Yeah,
swimming
that just
around
keep
them.
going now, and they can see them with telescopes and stuff, and they can just see. And that's what I'm saying. So even if we relate this back to fishing, we just don't know what things like forward sonar. We don't know, and sometimes opinions come quicker than reactions come quick. Always in life, right? They come quicker than facts. And then again, what's a fact anymore? Like it just we never have known. We don't know until
especially not anymore.
Right, but even I think now we have more access to it. But I mean, think about when my mom or my grandparents were kids; they knew what the news told them. Like our generation, our generation doesn't want to believe the news that much.
Right.
We've kind of smelt like I'm a fisherman. I understand marketing. I get the idea of marketing and getting people to click your page. And even every storm's going to have a tornado now, and it's always because they want you to keep going to Weather Channel to keep looking, and then it misses you completely. And it's like they knew that. They knew that crap
the whole time. The weird thing about space is time. Like,
oh, see, you're going to lose me here because that really blows my mind.
I'll lose myself. But like, think about fishing, right? Think about. Like, if you're traveling through space and you land on this place called Earth, and all of a sudden it's like 1960, and you're from like
way advanced,
like 3000,
and
you've been forward facing sonar and scoping like the whole time.
I want to fly right the hell out of here too.
You bring that shit here, like maybe we are ourselves from the future. Like we're very
you can see. Space is almost too big of a concept for me to even want to wrap my head around.
I'm not smart enough for this conversation. It's just fun. But
never even been a sci-fi guy because it seems so like it's
there.
a push for me to look back at Earth where we live and just this planet and what we think and what we don't know and all that. But the more I, as you get older, you just want to know more stuff and you're just looking. That's what's so cool about right now, right? It's maybe information overload. But boy, we can have information on stuff quick. But it's definitely overload. I don't think I retain 10% of the stuff that I see and just
that's just it
right through. So and again, that'll change everything too. How a human it'll evolve and change and
we're like computers now. Our brains are more like computers because we're interacting with them. I'm just wondering if you could go back in time. What would you do? Like, have you ever seen Hot Tub Time Machine?
I was thinking about that when when you just said like you come back and live scope and it's 1960. I don't think I would put a live scope on my boat and go that way, but I'd probably hit up a football jig on Lake Minnetonka and stuff, and just give me the dots and like let me fish for stuff that are like
the year before Moina finds it.
Yeah, or like flip milfoil with a good flipping jig and our tackle we have today.
Yeah, like
when those
mono.
fish never saw it. Like it was before my time, but those couple Bassmaster tournaments that Moina had, like those 150s or whatever the heck they were, and the FLW events that they had on Minnetonka back in the day. And there's like, I don't want to misquote, but I know like Liferman and stuff, like some guys fished that locally, got to jump in. Well, man, I guess this open is kind of the closest thing that we do have to that recently. I mean, you could say a couple of the river stuff, but if you're from up here, the river's not necessarily our backyard. It's kind of a, but to have a tournament here on like Leech, I just didn't even know if we'd see it. So it's kind of cool to.
Dude, can you imagine if I was to go back in time, I would go to 1981 with 2 HDS 12 Live side imaging units, and I would that would be probably
was there even
what I would do.
milfoil in 81?
I don't even know, but all I know is nobody could fish offshore like me if you gave me side imaging a 0.1 and doing it kind of like the way I learned how to fish offshore.
Me and you were throwing buoys or little hand
taught
buoys.
me how to I learned a lot from you that day just about double echo and I had found some stuff on that lake, but I didn't know how to run patterns and run it and
you were just a kid. Hell,
I was just a kid who
was just learning on the fly.
Dude, we're always learning, but I was just a kid who loved finding that offshore deal, and I just didn't totally know how to do it yet, and it was just really cool watching you break it down with a system, and I think I've taken that and expanded on my own since then, but I won't forget that day, bro. That was awesome.
Oh, it was, and we'd get Smallies caught up in the buoy. He's on the buoy. We'd see the buoy swinging. No, dude, that was I think we were 2 days too late for that tournament, but if we would have been there 2 or 3 days earlier, I think we could have won that tournament on that. But a lot of them started to spawn. We didn't have a terrible tournament. We still caught them pretty good.
We did, but I think I learned after that tournament that those fish, we'd catch 1 or 2 because I think you were partially still trusting.
Oh yeah,
me.
no doubt. Oh, not even me. I didn't barely know what I was doing,
and we were making sure it was a deal. So we would catch 1 off spot and leave.
Yeah, because we practiced together, didn't we? Yeah,
and
we did.
Since then, fishing that lake, you don't catch more than 1 to 3 off a spot.
So it might have been that way.
So I think we burned them, and not knowing that, and what do you do? No regrets.
And if you remember, the wind was just bucking on that end.
We were still the only guys fishing 30 feet of water in a spawn derby.
Roll out there and just roll over those, catch them, and by the time we got back on the trolling motor, we'd have to idle back up there. That was awesome.
Football jig and a drop shot, 1-2 punch. I remember that.
Dude, it was great.
Ryan Brandt fucked our lights out that day, but that's okay.
Did he win that tournament?
I think Ryan Brandt won, or Fighter, or one of the. Brandt might have won.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Off spawners.
I don't think he did. I know he had a good tournament. I think both the Brandts had, or no, Corey would have been in that.
Yeah,
I don't think Ryan won.
No, Corey
did win that tournament?
Might have been Fighter.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past. That was like his heyday. He's never stopped since. So
yeah, Dino, or I'd have to look back. I don't know. That was my first Silverado ever. In fact,
it could have been somebody like Putnam or somebody too.
Putty might. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Ryan fish anymore?
Yeah, I don't talk to him nearly as much as we used to when we were all team tournament partners.
Dude was deadly.
Well, yeah. Oh, he's awesome. His brother Corey's
deadly.
It was awesome to be able to fish with them. I learned a ton. Corey, I still talk to a decent bit. He's always, he's just a solid dude. And every time I'm having a tournament, if it's good tournaments, I'll get the good text from him. If he can tell that I'm probably down, he'll send and give me a buzz. And I know Ryan just started popping out kids and all that, and he kind of moved a little further up north. But I do see him jump in with Corey and Eric, and jump into some of those, and I'll see Ryan's name on there instead of Corey or vice versa. So I'm sure he's still. The dude's a hunting, fishing fool, but now he's got them young boys and stuff. So I think that's probably his main deal. I'm sure we'll have to deal with them here real quick.
Thanks. Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't think about
your dad's Ryan and your uncle's Corey. You're going to be doing some bass
trying
fishing.
To be a hammer.
Yeah.
I gotta pee.
Yeah.
I remember that tournament AOI. James Elam. To me, James Elam is one of the sleepiest assassins on the water.
No, that's cool.
I think he's I low key when he.
Well, he's low key. I'll give you that. Dude's low key.
When he fished the Elite Series, he's one of my favorite Elite Series anglers.
Yep.
I was maybe one of few of his fans up here in this area, but I remember he's whacking him on a crankbait for that AOI, and I think
he's a hell of a fisherman. He should have more fans, and I'm
just
saying it
that's what I'm saying.
He's just quiet. You know what I mean? He's not a glitzy, glammy. You know what I mean?
He's a hammer, though.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
they all are. Dude.
They all are. But Elam was very consistent when he fished the Elites. He was always up there for AOI.
How's he doing in the MILF tour?
I don't think it's good.
I don't. Well, it's a total.
But then again, it was Elam. He's a quiet dude. To your point, I don't even know. That's the thing. I couldn't even tell you I know Dustin Cannell's doing well, and I know Jacob Wheeler's doing well.
Yeah.
But that's because MLF puts those guys up as
and they're winning every tournament. So I mean, I will give them that. They're winning.
But other than that, I couldn't tell you the standings for MLF. I couldn't even tell you.
I can tell you
leading.
that everyone on that Pro Bass Tour's happy Dakota Ebear's not there, and everyone in the Opens is pissed that he's there.
Yeah,
The hammer.
that guy is something.
He's a good dude too. But
Really?
yeah, dude's a. That's what I'm saying.
His mom could catch him.
But we, I see
I
that.
see
But
that.
we, we've been accustomed to that. That is the one thing that when we, are we back going again? We just kind of jumped.
Oh yeah, we're going.
That is one thing about the tournaments, though, and you can attest to this. Since we met, it was basically when I was starting. That was my second year of fishing tournaments or whatever, and guys from the FLW tour, the MLF side, leave to go to the Bassmaster side every time.
Yeah.
And that's what I dreamed of growing up, and right now you can't talk me out of that. That's the format, you know what I mean? I think that's where people go to put their official thing on it, and but here's the deal: Wheeler and Cannell. I mean, Cannell that been there. I don't remember being overly flashy, but he's definitely grown as an angler.
He's good.
Oh God! And if you don't think that him and Wheeler aren't going, but Wheeler, I don't want to throw any shade there. What I'm saying is,
you don't.
Wheeler has been doing, and I'm not. Yeah, Wheeler.
Yeah, you
Wheeler
get lawyers on you for that shit.
No, Wheeler has been doing it since the Force Wood Cup way back in the day. He was just a kid. You know what I mean? And then Cannell kind of came on fast and all that. Now it just seems like them two, they're buddies, and they're competing.
Yeah,
they're competing for everything. I'd love to see them, using their time right now, where I think it matters more. You know what I mean? But I think they'd be as deadly.
I think so too.
Yeah. But until you go and do it, you know what I mean? Again, and Wheeler was good. When he was over there, they both were. They were, guys that were doing well at the at Bassmaster when they're there. They were good at. Or I don't think Cannell fished FLW, did he? Wheeler definitely did.
No, but you made me just think of like Wheeler when MLF switched back to 5. He didn't do as good.
Well,
and now they switch back to that.
But even with that, dude, he's got a resume of like, dude, he's kicked my ass in many tournaments, and he's done it in a way he's always ahead of the game, which again throws you. Some people. I don't know. He's a damn good fisherman, dude. There's no doubt about that. And Cannell, and I think them guys would be, real good. I know everyone knows that they'd be real good over there. I think everyone on the Pro Bass Tour would be good over there. That's the thing about it, man. Like, really, the purest form of fishing would be like 200 something boat fields because there's that many really good anglers. It's just the coverage aspect. And dude, if you are a check casher, you're a check casher with 250, and you're a check casher with 50, which means you just take way more people's money at 250. But I'm not saying 250 is the number, but I don't think 50 is.
Right.
I don't think 80 is. I like the 150 number, the old top 150s. I just felt like that's where you get your. Like I'm saying, you could absorb that whole tour into the elites.
Yeah.
And dude, I can't tell you who's going to win next week.
Right.
Any of them.
Right. No, and golly, I'm going to beat this till it's a dead horse and happening, but think about, I don't know if you've heard this before, but like if you could live stream every angler, 4-box it like they used to do with football games, Game Zone or whatever.
Yeah.
Red Zone. Could shoot, Red Zone.
Yeah.
NFL Red Zone, that shit. Yeah. The fourplex.
Oh,
we're going in the 6 quad.
We're clearly going in that direction. It's got to get there.
It has to, dude, where you could choose your own adventure, choose your box. Like, people will pay good money for that, and what that'll do for the viewership, think about Milliken. Yeah. Outside the top 10, no camera in his boat.
Yep.
Versus live streaming.
Yeah.
Milliken.
I mean, because it pays itself. Bass doesn't have to pay. Like, Brandon's going to take a lot of cameras, even when, even when he's not in the tournament, he's not doing that well. Where my mom's going to want to watch me full go. My wife, I hope she wants to watch me full go.
Boys from Minnesota be
watching right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd be jumping, but you know what I mean? And so, but it pays for itself, right? Because Bass shouldn't have to pay an angler then, just because somebody hogs up, say Swindle takes up a whole bunch of people because fans love him, and they're watching, and then but then he can turn around and say at the end of the year, well, here was my viewership. So not only was it my viewership when I was kicking ass, but it's my viewership period.
I'm the most entertaining guy to watch.
Or just any of them,
I'll
right?
put them in a box just because I want some comedy.
What they want on their boat, stuff like that, where it is that, and then just to be able to see it, to be able to watch anglers, or to be able to put up, like, let's say, me, you, and Easton are all going hard in the tournament, and all of a sudden people want to be able to put us three up on the board and see, and that's, but to do stuff like that, now you need to minimize your field. Because you got to be able to get boats with camera people in boats. So that's
Could
where
you do it with GoPros?
I think so. I mean, I would
Starlink,
hope that
then it's
technology
just
is getting good.
self-service.
I don't feel like a GoPro. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm the stupidest guy in the world when it comes to working my damn GoPro. But at the same time, you could. You definitely could. Yeah, no, you for sure could.
And then, just put GoPro in everybody's boat, and then it just boils down to cell service, and then it's a matter of,
which is getting better and better every year. And if they're out of service, they're out of service.
Yeah, then you pick a different angler. Like, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's up to you. Or you sit there on the black screen
and eventually
with nothing.
You put that revenue in the bank from, like, monthly subscriptions, and then when you can, you pay for Starlink.
And honestly,
and you make sure there's service.
Honestly, I as much as I love the... Ronnie Moore and Zona and all them dudes are awesome at that.
Oh, they are.
Just like I like most of the football and sports people, but to be able to hear the anglers sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Is really nice. Like, and everybody's got a job to do, but sometimes that's when it's just precious times and somebody can be talking over or not even just doing their job, and the person says something. It's like, oh, what was that? Ooh, that sounded like a good tidbit or something. Because I say it all the time. If I could still be a bass pro and jump in a boat when I didn't make the cut to learn, this is what I tell AMs all the time and stuff that are in my boat or marshals and stuff, and say, dude, I totally get why you're here. Like, if it was normal, like when you're done, you have to marshal for a guy that's still fishing. I would think that would be pretty awesome because I'm just going to learn a ton.
Absolutely.
In that time frame. So why people don't do that more, or why some of these tournaments don't have marshals all the way through for how big bass fishing is, or at least listen to all the people bitch every time Blockit puts up a post. Like, my God, dude, if you want to go learn something, go jump in their boat.
Dude, that's what surprised me about Champions Tour so much. When I found out they had a hard time getting marshals, I'm like,
how?
All I hear about is high school fishing being the number one growing sport. And I'm seeing it on the water, and you're telling me none of these kids want to get in the back of a guy's boat and learn?
I'm telling you, there's very few things. I talked to
some, and they said the same thing.
There's very few things I would rather do besides fish myself that day.
Yeah.
Than sit in somebody's watching them, and even if they're doing bad,
right?
You learn what not to do.
So much.
You learn by people's failure. You learn by their success, or maybe just how they bag their sandwich. It's kind of cool, and you're like, damn, that's freaking rad. I'm gonna do that. Or a tip when they back. I mean, you learn something. That's the point, right?
You pick something up every day.
And that's what I think would be, or will be so cool when they get to that level, is to be able to, like probably start with the classic and then be able to get in anybody's boat that you want.
Yeah.
And what that means your fan base is truly following you, right? Like
right. That's how you build
golf. I would have watched Tiger in his heyday.
Totally, dude.
I mean, that's even when he was struggling because I was waiting for the comeback.
Well, and I feel like if it's an issue for like Bassmaster sponsors, like they feel like they're not like
definitely shouldn't be.
No, take a box. Just take a box then.
Well, and that's what I've always said too.
That make that about your sponsors.
Or
do commercial breaks.
Make the boxes. They can sell their boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the Kellogg's box. Here we're going back to Josh Douglas and the Kellogg's
dude, I like
box.
that. Yeah.
So there's so much. I'm sure they're all over that. But again, a lot of it comes with
doesn't seem like it.
Technology, trying to keep up with technology. It's hard enough for them just to get the anglers to keep a damn GoPro in their boat when it's a rule, period. You know what I mean? Just to have it, which you should want it. And a lot of guys look at it as, they're trying to.
When I get
Big Brother's trying to look over my shoulder, and it's like, no. At the same time, when all of a sudden, Josh Douglas catches a 10-pounder, and that's why he's in the top 10 out of nowhere. And they didn't have a camera guy on me because I was in 39th place going into day 2.
Yep.
Now I'm in 4th place, and they might say, "Hey, you got your GoPro? We want the footage of that catch so we can show people that."
Yeah.
So you should want to have it there anyway. But
that makes sense from that standpoint, for
but
sure.
as that technology gets there, like, yeah, why not? That's what we want. That's what I like.
Yeah.
You know, that's why YouTube is doing so good, and anglers can have a career with that, whether they're good or not. You know, there's plenty of good ones. There's plenty of not. There's plenty of good tournament anglers and all that. So I'm not casting shade there, but it's just something that like people want to see. They want to go out fishing. They want to experience your day on the water.
For sure.
You know
they
what I
want to
mean?
see how a guy they look up to does it.
Dude, I do it every day, and I want to see how you do it.
I want to see
I'd
how
love
you
to be
do
a
it.
fly on the wall in your boat where you can't hide nothing from me. You're in your own confidence level, everything.
Likewise.
And I know I have more days on the water than you, but I will frickin' learn a couple things that'll
Same.
make me better.
Dude, I think
100% you will.
I agree. I think that's the beauty of the sport if you look at it right. And I think there's a lot of people that maybe just have the wrong perspective. I think questions like we were asking weird questions about the universe earlier. I think how you look at something and the types of questions you ask can sometimes be more important than the answer you're trying to get, you know?
That's for sure.
I think like that's what can absolutely drive you crazy about fishing is you'll start to ask too many questions, but that's because you've had the magic happen where you ask the right question.
Yep.
Even to yourself and the fish, and they tell you the answer, and
be willing to accept when you're not hearing what you want to hear.
Oh yeah, and I have a hard time with that.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
That's only natural.
For sure.
But
for
trying
sure.
to work on that and trying to, that sometimes we ask a question strictly to get a pat on the back or confirmation.
Yeah.
And when we don't get that, though, all of a sudden now you needed 10 more questions because you're
right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're Jason Christie and you only need the answer every like 2 hours because you're gonna throw this freaking spinnerbait and get 5 bites today.
Yeah,
like that's what I don't get.
Taking everybody's money.
That's what I don't get, dude. Is like them baits that you don't get a lot of bites on each day. It's tough to keep something in your hand sometimes, and I think sometimes it's people put things down.
Oh, for sure.
Like before they should.
For
like
sure.
talking about it that way. Like I'm guilty both ways.
Yeah, for sure. Every one of my worst tournaments I've ever had, I was thinking 5 casts ahead of the one I was making. I always had something else I wanted to be throwing. A lot of that just comes with a bad practice, a scattered practice, or even a good practice, but doing a lot of things.
Yep.
Right? Because then you're like, I want to start with throwing the spook in the morning, but man, I got my better bites off a brush, but man, they could be there right away this morning. No, I'm gonna start with the spook, and then, oh, geez, there's Keith Combs fishing a brush pile. I should have been on that brush pile. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you're just 10 casts ahead of yourself, and you're not even fishing your bait right anymore. You're not in that moment, and that's a big deal. Staying in the moment, something I struggle with a lot. Just I got a ADD kind of wandering mind, and I just, I'm always trying to be better. That maybe even sometimes I'm trying to overly perfect it. I just needed to go bass fishing.
I'm with you
what I
on
mean?
that. I'm similar in that regard, I think, sometimes. And I'm learning that about myself, I guess, and learning to trust what the hell you're doing right now is something that's hard to do for an ADD wandering brain, question asking, thinking about that next move type of brain. But Mille Lacs is interesting in how crowded it's gotten. I bet you've dealt with some crowds out there, but I bet it's nothing compared to some of the stuff you've seen at the Opens. And I guess, has there been any, weird gamesmanship stuff that you've,
always
seen on that deal? I feel like you've seen some stuff or heard about stuff or,
No,
I feel like there's been fights and locks. There's been some
there
stuff,
has. There has. I was in that tournament. I didn't see none of it.
Vets intimidating people off of spots, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's a fine line. You see where young anglers or new anglers need to pay their dues. Okay, and then you also see where maybe that gets taken advantage of sometimes too by veterans that are out there that can use that to their advantage. But bottom line is nobody's out there to make friends. So gamesmanship is definitely part of the sport, which I think that's more the problem I had with the Brian New thing was it seems like that more fell under the, like I said, if I didn't see a video, I didn't know nothing. If he was really destroying a nest to destroy a nest, then by all means, yes, they got it right. You shouldn't be doing that. But if he was just dusting up the area and then leaving just to let it settle back down, that fish to settle back, like that's more gamesmanship. And it kind of falls a little bit under that. So you see it with anglers. I don't want to say I can tell you a story about me, and I'll say who the angler was, but I'll tell you one. Let me tell you that one. That was actually on Lake Chickamauga, and it was the year of COVID when everything got canceled, and then we started back up again in the fall. Chickamauga, if you know the lake at all, it's really small when it comes down to it, and it was straight up July, so it was just completely ledge fishing season, and I had no problem with that. I like fishing ledges, fishing, but they're going to get crowded. You're going to have 2, 3, 4, 5 boats on spots just right next to each other, talking distance. That's quite common in national tournament fishing, way more than I ever saw fishing locally in Minnesota. So Minnesota, never did I ever have a boat that was like right there that I was talking to. In these national level tournaments, you might have 5, 6 of them that are within talking distance. You're all fishing for the same stuff. This is extremely common. It happens in almost every single tournament.
That's crazy.
Hey guys, Gaff with Waypoint Angler Supply here. Just wanted to highlight the fact that we have the big bass resource right here. Obviously, everybody in Minnesota knows about Kitex and the littler swim baits like these bait labs here. But we're here to have the big baits here in the store. We got Huddlestons, we've got the dangerous swim baits, the jointed claw glide baits, and the bull shooter glide baits. But it's not only the baits. We've got big rods, big reels, big line, and all that good stuff for you guys to go ahead and chase your biggest fish of your life. So swing on into Waypoint Angler Supply and get hooked up with the biggest tackle around.
That's going to happen. So it comes with it. Well, this was my first year in the MLF now, from the FLW to the MLF, and some of the owners were fishing. I saw one of the owners had a ledge all to himself for 3 or 4 days, however long he made it in the tournament. It was mind-boggling to me. There was not another spot on there. And I'd watch people idle up to him and ask him, questions and talk to him.
Who is this?
One of the owners,
Gotcha.
one of the big owners, one of the big dog owners, and having and just it was amazing to me. And that's when I knew right then there. The year before I made the FLW Cup, Forest Wood Cup top 10, I walked off that stage wanting to be an FLW, letting a dream of Bassmasters go because I was having that much fun on the FLW tour.
Wow. Yeah.
And saw a lot of idols, Thrift, all them dudes that were just nasty, Cody Meyer and stuff like that out of there, right?
Right.
And just had an absolute, I wanted to do that. And now I'm looking at this new MLF umbrella and I'm like, how am I fishing against this guy?
Yeah.
Ronnie Moore can't fish bass events and Jody White can't fish MLF events. So how come the owner can fish? So anyway.
Right.
So, and I just watched, it blew my mind. Nobody challenged that spot, and every other spot had multiple boats on it. So I'm fishing one spot, and there was like 4 Bradley Roys there, Cody Meyer. There's one more there, and then me all on this one ledge. And slowly they kind of left, and I was actually the last one there. And then I left and ran and hit another spot. When I was coming back, Timmy Horton was on that spot. And I don't know him from nothing, but I used to look up to him a lot, at Lake Champlain when he won that tournament back in the day. I was just getting into it. Oh my God, that in Ticonderoga made the run. Yeah. That dude was good on video. His stuff, all that stuff that don't take nothing away from. So I come back to that spot. And he's there. And I set up far enough away that I can't hear him yelling at me, but I can tell he's yelling at me. And I'm just throwing a crankbait up there, and he comes down, chucking it kind of towards the boat or whatever. And he's like, "Is that how you FLW guys do this?" blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, and right away, I've done this long enough. I'm not like, whatever this is. He's just trying to, a vet's just trying to get me off the spot, whatever. I'm just like, nobody's got, whatever, man. I'm down here doing this. I've been here all afternoon, coming and going all afternoon. There's not a spot out here. And he just kept going, kept being persistent. And then I started thinking, I don't even know if he is, but is he an owner? You know what I mean? And it's like, and I left, and I never would do that. I don't think, I don't have the reputation being the best fisherman on the planet. I don't have the reputation being the worst. But I don't know many people I'll say that I take their spots or that I'm that type of an angler. I've not had that reputation that I know of, and it's definitely never.
You just started bombing and I was like, shad at you,
and
like,
I was and I was just like, whatever. So again, minimal crap, but it got me thinking. Again, this is minimal. This happens every day in these tournaments. You know what I mean? This is just nothing. This is, and it wasn't.
That's nothing.
And I would, nothing. Yeah, you fish right next to people, like a lot, and where you're jockeying for position to try to make the right cast and all that. But on that day, I left, and it wasn't because I was intimidated. It wasn't because definitely wasn't because I was wrong. I thought he was an owner, and I think he still is.
Of FLW.
And so I started thinking, well, Josh Douglas has a lot to lose. They can say whatever they want. They can spin this whatever. I just didn't like it. I felt like, well, the guy's going to fail a damn lie detector or something here. You know what I mean? What's up with this? And so that was some of it that I didn't like. But that's where I think that was an abuse of power if he truly was, and I didn't look into it or nothing. And I don't even have a problem with the guy.
That's crazy.
It was just gamesmanship. I can think of another one, a Minnesota angler, and I won't say names, an angler that I damn respect so much, national level angler, dude. The dude's a freaking hammer. He's a legend. Been around a while. Everybody loves the guy and should. He's a great fisherman. Never heard say anything bad about the guy. And so was the fisherman from around here that was fishing there. Terrific individual. And anyway, I was talking to the guy from here and during the course of the practice for the Open, and I was like, he told me about the spot that he found, and it was kind of unique, and he told me about it straight up, like what it was and everything. I'm like, dude, I think you got some good. He's like, caught a couple good ones there. It was late, but I think I got a good one. So a tournament comes around. He does tell me in the morning, I'm going to stop on a spot that I think I can get a limit, which limits are important.
Oh, yeah.
We were at like the Arkansas, I forget where we were, somewhere like that. One of the rivers, Red River, Arkansas River, one of them, not the Mississippi, one of them rivers. And so I get that. I get why. Went there, didn't catch it. Left, went to that spot. So probably an hour later, shows up, and this angler, this big time pro elite huge angler is on the spot. It's a big area, big, long, specific casting, but it's like a road bed essentially. And he's moving down this direction. So this angler from out here comes in behind him, starts going the opposite direction. Great, right? That's what I would think, everything. Mm-hmm. Well, this veteran angler swings around, comes right down on him. What are you doing? What's your name? The guy's being hey man, he's like, you saw me fishing here. He's like, I know this spot. I fished it in practice. You didn't start here. No, I know. I started on a different spot, but still I know. And I was going the other way. Oh, I forgot to tell you, because when he first showed up, he makes his first cast and catches a 4-pounder behind this guy. So that dude's just like, whatever. Yeah. So he comes over, whatever. I just want to know your name. I just want to know. They get into it on the water. Like the guy's like literally reading his name off the boat. Like, I know. And you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah. This is like a big time angler. I'm pissing this guy off. Decides to leave. Shouldn't have. Had every right to fish it. Who?
The guy?
The guy left. Totally left the spot. Right.
The vet? Or
no,
the
Minnesota angler leaves the spot out of being the respectful dude that he is, right? Leaves the spot. So then, coming back, tells me that whole story. I'm like, oh, well, so-and-so's in first place. Had a mega bag.
Oh.
Right? So they had a mega bag. They're in a good spot. And all of a sudden, so this guy says, oh, I'm going to go over there. Okay, I'm not going to go there tomorrow. He's in first, whatever. I'm just going to go over there and explain myself, blah, blah. Basically went over there and shook hands and did all that. And then the guy replies with, oh, yeah. Because he's like, hey, I'm let you have it. I didn't know you were fishing there. Definitely didn't know you were in the lead. It was a spot I hadn't practiced. But it's yours tomorrow. I didn't have a great day. It's yours. It's yours tomorrow. I won't go to the spot. And that angler looks at him and says, "Oh, that's great." Because how do you say it? Oh, I don't want to make you mad, or I wasn't mad. I just wanted to see if you leave, and you did.
Holy smokes.
And it's awesome, dude. It's awesome, but it's
Wow.
not. It's gamesmanship. You know what I mean? It's gamesmanship. And you get enough of those, or people flex on you, you know what I mean? And they're big-time anglers. Big-time anglers. Like, I'm not going to tell the story, but I can remember getting into it with Ike and Ellie a little bit my first year in the Elites.
Really?
Dude, that made my day.
Yeah.
Made my damn day. You know, of course I talk. I'm one of those that I might fight with you on the water a little bit if I think I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be the first one to come and find you at the boat ramp and make sure
We're good.
things are good,
Yeah.
because it's never going to be but it kind of made my day. Like, I'm like, I made it, man.
Yeah,
I made
dude.
it. I made it, dude.
Like, how did that go down? That sounds
No,
like
it was
crazy.
it just happens on the water. You're fishing for big. Like, that was the thing. At the state level, you drive by somebody and be like, "Oh, Cody and Dusty's on that spot. Oh, Figgy and Fighter on that spot. Oh, the Brants are on that spot. Oh, Dino's over there." You just keep moving, and you don't go to that spot.
Right.
In the national level tournaments, that crap doesn't fly. There is no
you just
rule.
go there.
If you want, if it's your water, whatever. I mean, there's just no rule against it. Like, nobody gives, like, it's fishing. You're fishing for everything: your livelihood, your sponsors,
Right.
your points, your everything. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still plenty of sportsmen where like, I won't pull up, and a lot of guys
Or
will
like
not do that.
communication. Like,
Or
and, like,
communicate it
on
through
how you're gonna handle it.
a ton of that. Way more of that
Yeah.
than there's not.
Right.
Than there's not. But
Good.
there's no route. Like I said, if you show up, if I just ran 30 miles to get here, I'm not turning around just because you're there. That's not happening. And that's something you got to learn at that level. Like, you just, you pull up and say, "Hey, we're going to fish, and we figure it out." Some of my best relationships I have now with certain anglers are because I fish boat to boat with them for 2, 3, 4 days in a row.
Who's like an angler on tour that you can remember that just does not give a fuck?
Oh,
Like,
well, like,
you know
I
what I
can
mean?
tell
Like-
you,
like-
like Greg Hackney and Jason Christie, I do not want to run into them in the back of a. But see, you know what's so cool? Like, in the back of a creek somewhere. But what's cool about that is they're doing that all the time.
Like, who's your Matthew
It'd be like if
Kachucks?
I saw
Or your-
John Cox, I'd probably just say, "Oh, dude, sorry, bro. I don't know what I'm doing
Yeah,
back here.
yeah.
Just get out of here.
Yeah.
This is your stuff." Like, this is what you do
My
every day.
mistake.
Every day. They're like, "Why aren't you offshore doing something, with a spinning pole?"
But you watch hockey, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, NHL playoff hockey, Brad Marchand. If he's not on your team,
Yeah.
you hate him.
Oh, but yeah, you're
Right?
supposed
If
to.
he's on
Right,
your team,
right. You love,
him.
Yeah.
Matthew Kachuk.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Similar.
Yep.
And I feel like there's like that aspect in bass fishing. Like Greg Hackney would be like an example of that. Okay.
Greg Hackney. Oh, well,
Christie,
Christie.
They just have to look at me and I'm scared.
Scared,
so,
yeah. Or not, Denny Brower, I'm sure had a little of that to him.
yeah.
Who's the one I'm thinking? Oklahoma.
That Star Plus a mustache. Jared Littner, I feel like I wouldn't want him.
I think Littner's a nice guy.
Super
but
nice
still,
guy,
yeah,
but,
I don't know.
like,
I
when
don't
he
know
looks
him.
at you-
I don't know. Yeah, he's big dude. Yeah,
Big dude, mustache.
No, what's the Oklahoma guy? Biffle. Yeah, I don't want to run into Biffle.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
dude.
Like, there's certain guys that I just wouldn't want to. I can remember, like, at the Mississippi River, I ran all the way back to this little spot, and Hackney was back there. And we've always had a super cool relationship, just for whatever. I met him at Warner Dock when he was one of the pros.
Cool.
And he's always remembered my name, and just super cool. And that's what's so cool, right? Is that you got to remember that as you grow in this sport, that there's people that are looking at that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, so I run back there, and I'm getting back there, and all of a sudden I'm just fishing this one little spot where I had some frog blow-ups. All of a sudden I see a head look over by the cattails, and it's him, and he's like on the left, and I'm like, "You saw me in here in practice, and I just want this right side. That's all I want is this right side." And he just goes, and you see his head go back in behind the reeds and goes to work, and I'm just like, all right, I'm going, go in, do my thing, get the hell out of there. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some, and then I mean, I don't know.
That's awesome.
No, but like I said, and maybe I have a different look at it. I think most guys are pretty good because, who knows? Maybe people just didn't care about taking my spots, but people were pretty good. The most thing I learned is just don't tell them nothing on the water. Like if you got 22 pounds in the live well, it's 10 o'clock. No, I'm sucking.
No,
I'm sucking.
Tough.
I'm sucking. Because they're too smart. They're too smart. They've seen a bunch, and if they're off, they're only off by a little. And so if you give them anything, dude, that's
Yep.
one thing.
Golly, that's just an element I don't think your average angler fully understands. I think that's probably
no way you couldn't. You have to live that.
Yeah. And I think it seems like it's one of the most least talked about things that it seems like pros are afraid to touch that one.
Yeah.
It seems like they dance and rightfully so to an extent, but why isn't it more like hockey where it's like, hey, fuck that guy? Or why isn't it more?
It is, but you got sponsors. So hockey, you don't have sponsors like you have. I mean, they do to some level, but you're representing the companies that are on you. Where if you're play for the Wild, you represent the Wild. You know what I mean? You're there to kick some ass. That's what you're.
If I'm sponsoring a bass angle, I'm like,
yeah, you want the
Chuck,
happy
rough that
Gilmore
up.
of
rough
bass
that
fishing.
shit up, bro. Yeah, but that's just me, I guess.
Yeah, so I think
your Southern Baptists may disagree.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
And, to each their own.
That's just it.
Yeah.
That's just it. Maybe a good old fight at the end if they
Oh,
get in
yeah.
on the water. Yeah.
Yeah, if they allowed fighting and fishing, that'd be interesting. If they did,
I'm glad they don't. I get my butt kicked.
Dude, I'd get my ass stomped.
I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but I got a mouth that gets me out of a lot of stuff. So I need that's about it.
These is negotiating arms right here.
Yeah,
These ain't
that's
fighting
what-
arms.
I'm right there with you, bro. We can work this out. We can both win here.
I was not raised to fight, as you can tell.
That's funny.
But I'd maybe break one up. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if I was a bouncer. I'd
outthink them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're drunker than me.
You've done a little bartending. I bartended a lot to get here, and I'm telling you what, you learn how to analyze people real quick.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Usually you shouldn't have to. But a good old that's the thing. Like football, I don't like to see a fight.
Right?
Basketball, none of them.
Agreed.
But hockey, it's part of the sport.
It is.
It's the only sport where there's no out of bounds, so you can't just stop play by running out of bounds. You can do that in everything. The play stops a bunch. The play doesn't stop, so things get chippier and chippier, and momentum builds, and you're trapped in something, and they give you weapons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things are going to get out of line, so you need that. And then your skills players a lot of times are, they can be around our build, and then you need enforcers out there to look out for them.
Yeah, because it's not like the refs are looking out for Kaprizov.
Yeah.
You've seen that for years, and it's ugh.
See, maybe balance things out. KVD seemed a little tall, but it seems like a lot of the really good anglers are shorter. So maybe then they'd have a little, but Brandon Polnick was like a world.
He's short.
Yeah, but he was like a freaking. He's not short, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
yeah. But he wasn't. But he was like a champion wrestler. He'd tangle me up so damn fast I wouldn't know what the hell happened.
Them little fuckers are good wrestlers, though.
Oh, I wouldn't want nothing to do with them.
It seemed like wrestlers weren't wrestlers short. I wasn't a wrestler, but were wrestlers short or
lanky? I was a hockey player, but
Same.
Yeah. But we think we're the toughest. But yeah, I wouldn't want to tangle with one.
No, the closest fight I've been into is locker boxing. You ever do the locker boxing?
I got into a couple of little squirms playing hockey and stuff like that. But that's a different squirm. It's just different.
It is.
Your boys are there to kick some ass with you. The refs are going to break it up.
Right.
I was a lot more swift and tougher on my skates. I had really good balance, so you could but something I just
hockey's like that one sport where you can be not as big and use leverage and speed to your advantage. Those dudes, and still lay people out.
You remember checking drills? I hated dudes that were like that.
Oh,
low
dude.
center of gravity,
just hip check,
shorter than you, and just my god, like you're a couple feet off the boards and they just plaster you. I hated freaking checking drills. Loved playing hockey. Loved going in the corners.
I did
Didn't
too.
care, but there's something different about when you're playing and all of a sudden, boom, you just get hit, right?
Yeah.
You just jump right back up.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's another thing about it ain't like my turn to check, which I wasn't a great checker, so I didn't really care about it being my turn. And then when it wasn't my turn, I'm like, oh, you're just going to throw the puck in the corner, and I'm going to go, and this dude's only job is to try to flatten me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't avoid, you can't, like, buck them back or
Right.
nothing. That's not how the game works.
Right,
You got to try
right.
to, like, play hockey.
Yeah.
Funny.
And then you'd have those kids who like bitch out and let the other guy like go to the puck first so they could hit him.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that crap's too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They won't even play the game right. They're just trying to drill you.
My best shot at a good hit was to catch the D man coming around the net.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like that's when I could catch them off guard, and
Yep.
my strength was good enough.
Yep,
But,
fast and
yeah.
come in there and,
Yeah,
catch them with their head down.
right.
But I was such a puck player that was always my, I was always about the puck and vision and stuff like that. It wasn't never tough.
Yeah.
Never tough. I let other people back me. I'd get my mouth into some stuff and then let the bigger dudes handle it.
I've never been big, but I've always tried to have big friends.
Yeah, my friend. Like, you seen Figgy before?
Oh, yeah,
He's
dude.
a good one.
Figgy is who you want
that's what I'm
going
saying.
into a dogfight.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That guy makes you think you can talk some trash at the bar or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like Caleb Summerall would be a guy. I'd want
Oh,
to go to the
yeah.
bar.
Yeah, no,
I met
yeah.
that dude. He is huge.
Oh, yeah. A weightlifter, too.
He was talking about a story about how they had him get into a ring with a wild boar, a wild pig, and stab it to death.
Yeah.
They've got
Carl
it on video.
Jacobson's done that stuff, too.
That's
In
wild.
Australia.
Oh, yeah. He seems like a ninja from down under.
Oh, yeah. Carl. I wouldn't want to mess with Carl.
No.
No.
He do like the jujitsus and shit?
I don't know. Yeah, he does some of that. I know he's got some friends and family that are big into it back there, and he did do that kind of big fight for a good cause and all that. But
Yeah.
I mean, the dude can just bust out 5 miles and
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
No. I wouldn't want to
He's a
mess
good
with
one
him.
to have on your side.
Yeah, he's real tall, isn't he? He's kind of like
Pretty tall, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not overly tall, but he's not definitely. I mean, no, he's. I don't know. I'd guess him 6'1", maybe.
Sure. You been keeping up with the Wild? Did you watch them this year
Yeah,
like you
of
usually
course.
do? Yeah.
Of course, I'm watching all. I'm really loving Minnesota sports right now.
The T-Wolves are like,
All of it. All of it's exciting. All of it's exciting.
what do you think about the football? You like
Yeah,
the
I'm a fan.
future?
Just it's the first time, and definitely my lifetime and in the history of the Vikings that we use a top 10 pick on a quarterback. So
right.
even if we suck for the next 3-4 years and it doesn't work out, we always have that. I'd rather, Kirk Cousins was a good quarterback, but there's just something that just, I didn't feel like we were going to win the big games. I don't think his players felt like that, and he was very, stuff like that. And so I do like the aspect of going into it with J.J. McCarthy now over Kirk Cousins for this year and what we would have had to pay him. And
Right.
we got the defensive end out of the deal.
Right.
So I thought it was good. I think it's good. I think it's exciting. We definitely got a lot of raw talent. The whole NFC North is just stacked though
Right.
now, so I just don't even know how that's.
I feel the same way about the NHL division we're in.
Yeah, but the NHL, we still got a little bit to go there. We got this one more year
Yeah,
to get through.
we're so close.
And then they got to do some pretty good signings still, but we got everybody kind of locked down for the first couple. I mean, a big one's going to be Kaprizov again, re-signing him when that happened. But I mean, we still got a little time there. But yeah, I like who we got. We got a couple of Russians that are in the farm league right now that are real good. They're coming. The goaltender Wallstead. I mean, he's going to be awesome.
Yep.
I mean, the Wild will be one of those teams that'll maybe squeak in the playoffs next year, maybe not. But by the following 2-3 years,
Yeah.
they have like the potential to be Detroit Red Wings of like the 90s good.
I was just going to say, you remember
So they
I watched
reminded me of.
badass documentary called The Russian Five.
Oh, yeah, I know all about that stuff.
Yeah, and to me, Kaprizov's like the Fedorov of
Oh,
that.
for sure. Can you
And
name them all 5?
No,
Come on.
I wish. It's been like 4 years since I seen that documentary, but
You had Sergei Fedorov,
yep,
Igor Larionov,
yeah,
Vladimir Konstantinov.
Tinov. Konstantinov was.
Oh,
maybe-
Kozlov.
Oh yeah,
Kozlov.
Yep.
And then another one that was like Vladimir Konstantinov or something like
Yeah.
that, but I can't. I said
Kusadinov.
Larionov.
No, that's
Something
our new
like
one.
that.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
But it's almost like Billy's reviving that a little bit. And he's going
Russians
for
always
it.
play hockey, man. They're good. They're just really. I think they're my favorite. They always have been since I was a kid too. Just the way they play is how I wanted to play. They're not your biggest hitters and stuff like that, but boy, they'll take the puck away from you super fast, and they can move the puck. Their vision's awesome. I just like the way that they play more so than European style.
Well, like
players.
Low key, I've noticed like Billy's not willing to, like Billy's cool with like trading for a 5th rounder, right? Or like and I just like in my mind when I see that on paper, I'm like Russian.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like,
no, he's definitely
Find us another.
Yeah, and he's not scared right now. It's obviously a tough political time with Russia and all that, so
Yeah.
you got to give him a little bit there, kind of some kahunas to go to draft Russian players right now as high as he has even. But I think you got bargains on a couple of them because, you got Marat or whatever. He came in this year, and he's gonna be a good old Eriksson style player on that second or third line or
Wins
whatever.
a lot of draws. And,
then
you're off.
Yurov's gonna be so fun.
They
to
say
watch
he's gonna be
play.
really good.
Yeah, no, he's nasty. He's nasty over there. So that'll be really fun. And then when you got Boldy and you got Eriksson and you just got all these players to build around that are still so young but so dominant players and who I'm really excited to see come along is can never remember his name.
Faber?
No, Faber's a rock star. He's going to be a big sign, but he
Rossi?
should be an easy sign. Yes, Marco Rossi, but Faber's cool about Faber's. He should be kind of wanna sign with Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what's really cool because he's going to be one of your top defensemen
sure.
in the NHL. He already kind of is.
Yeah.
And what's nice is hockey players don't want to leave Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to go to Tampa. I don't think you want to go play for the Panthers. You know what I mean? Minnesota's kind of his family and all that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's good. And then basketball, we haven't seen that since literally Cassell, Sprewell, and Garnett back in the day. So I'm really. And Ant can play.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
We
He's
might
gonna replace
have one of the literally. I mean, you got Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and now Ant Edwards plays just like him, and he's
yeah.
It's fun.
Getting back on the Russian thing, I've always wondered it's so weird how they don't talk we don't know anything about I'm curious what the guys on that team know, because those Russians, they have what they know more than us about what's going on over there, and
with what?
With the Russia-Ukraine stuff and
the
tension.
Maybe they do, but
country
they probably
tension.
watch the same news we watch. It's probably
they probably watch the Russian propaganda, but are the what is that like? Because there's people getting called to arms,
Oh yeah, no.
They're
remember
worried about
Kaprizov,
letting
a
Kaprizov
year
leave.
ago? Yeah, never did his military time or whatever.
So
Who knows?
are they losing family members to the point
I'm sure.
but they're not allowed. The media here isn't allowed to talk about any of that.
No, they
sympathizing with Russian.
Well,
anything.
that and they want their it's against their. They want to protect because they don't want to really put a big
that too
thing on it when they do. And I don't know. I'm definitely not the political guy on that front, but
No,
I do
me
remember
either.
Sergei Fedorov going through, or I mean, hearing of. I don't remember it, but he had a big thing where he was cast away from Russia or something, defected.
Oh yeah, defector.
Defector or something like that. And so it's something. But oddly enough, I did hear Vladimir Putin's a mega hockey fan, and so he loves to see his Russian players dominate.
Yeah,
out there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so
doesn't
that
the
bodes
mob
well.
Russian?
I don't think he's trying to stop him from success.
Well, didn't I hear something the Russian mob owns the KHL? So it was hard to get Kaprizov over here. Do you remember we were for 5 years we were are we gonna get him?
See, and I think his numbers weren't even gangster right out of the bat there. I think that was a lot of him wanting to play there and not wanting to necessarily leave, and where you see what's it?
You're off.
He's out. He wants out, and again, I think it's a bigger picture there that they're looking at of you need to go to the U.S. to become dominant, and then that keeps
you from getting drafted.
Yeah, and I'm
too?
sure. I'm sure at the political level they're not trying to they want to
stay, I might have to go to war.
Their people in Russia probably excited about stuff. If you were putting your best hockey players in prison and stuff, that would be.
If you're making them
not
go to
keep
war
the
instead of play
livelihood
hockey,
very good. But again, I have no idea.
No idea.
I
I've
know
just
it's a
always
risky.
wondered about
I know
it.
it's a risky gamble.
Yeah.
To draft and stuff like that, because I think they do well in the KHL there, and I think the KHL is a very dominant deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they seem to be. It's like they're never in a hurry to get them into like Iowa
Right.
from Russia. They'd rather keep them in the Russian program.
Right. So anyway, back to the Wolves. They might win the ship. They might win the
Dude,
ship.
I'm getting that vibe.
might.
I hate to be that Minnesota
I know,
fan. I
right?
feel like everyone teases us for
overhype
it,
it.
but I mean, this is utter dominance right now that we're
Utter.
seeing. I mean,
Pure
this
utter.
is a sweep of a team that handled us in the regular season pretty good. I was kind of afraid of them off the bat, and now they're defending champs. And you just took like they don't lose at home. You just smashed them. Like that game was over in the second quarter, and that's never a thing in basketball.
When you take 2 road games right away. Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be big. Come back home. I'd like to see him just sweep them and do it, but
That'll happen.
just to keep them rested.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
what? One more, and then they'll be in the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be the East and West championship, and then the finals.
Yep. Something like that.
Yeah, it's fun. But like the 9 o'clock games, dude, I can't. It's hard for me.
I
watch them, but it's hard. I've dozed out a lot. I find myself falling asleep and then waking up, which is all right. It's kind of a surprise. You're like, oh yeah, we're up 20.
Right.
But even the NHL games, when especially with fishing season and stuff, man, I'm just up too early. It's hard. The 9 o'clock games are.
I'm gonna have to adjust my sleep schedule here.
Well, it's about time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about that time.
Just sleeping in a little, have you?
And bartending.
Oh yeah. Well, how late does your bar stay open?
1 or 2.
Oh,
and I
that's-
don't close every time.
I had a couple.
I don't like
bartending
closing,
gigs.
though.
No, I had a couple bartending gigs. You make good money though when you close.
You
it
do.
up. But
It's
I had-
weird how people tip more when they're drunk.
well, it depends on how early you get cut too, I suppose. But just like, are they still serving food by the time the bartender gets cut?
So it's either 4 to 9 or 4 to close, and I work 4 to 9 or 4 to close.
Is
So
4 to
9
close after 9? Are you still doing food?
No.
No,
So
it's
that's
just drinks anyway.
just
Okay,
drinks,
so
yep.
yeah.
So it's hit or miss. Hello, Bassstronauts. Introducing the new demo program from Vocelka Fishing and Customs. That's right. You can try a rod before you buy it. If you're fishing the Team Trail or the Champions Tour this upcoming season, you're eligible for this. There's no down payment. There's no upfront purchase required. Just contact Mr. Vocelka before the event. And let's say you want to try a new hair jig rod out for Okoboji or Mille Lacs, or you need a new tube rod going into a smallmouth event, contact Mr. Vocelka ahead of time and you can actually try that rod out and practice before you buy it. You have to return it before tournament day though, unless you're going to buy it, because these things are weapons. They're absolute weapons. So that's the new demo program from Vocelka Fishing and Customs. Contact Dane today and schedule the finest rod using experience north of the Mason-Dixon.
That early shift to be all right.
Yeah.
4 to 9 or yeah.
That's the ideal.
Does it cut early if you're really slow?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, perfect.
Yep. Doesn't really get slow there though.
No, that's cool.
It's almost like you get rocked. Like I almost don't want to
Where
get
is it?
rocked too much.
Where is it?
Cold Spring, just a little town
We're
sidebar
gonna
dive
say
bar.
that We're not. It's what it's called.
Yeah, it's called
Dive
the
bar,
side.
so-
It's called the sidebar.
Oh, sidebar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So I
yeah.
didn't know if maybe you got some groupies or something that would show up. There's some stalkers. So you didn't want to say the name of the bar.
Well, hopefully not. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully you do find out.
hopefully they're pretty. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
exactly.
No, but it seems like if you get rocked too hard, you don't get tipped as good because you can't do as good a job. Because at this
Right. You
bar,
can't talk to enough people.
you're a server, dishwasher, and bartender when food's going down. You
Yeah.
know, so I'm literally waiting tables, doing drinks, all of that.
Do you get
and-
high tops too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
So, but if you got a slow person with you, it's like, I know you get rocked. It's like you can't do a good enough job for anybody to really make the. So those days, the tips are almost as good as the steady days.
Yep.
So, but whatever, getting in a little bit of the weeds there. But Mille Lacs, I guess, do you do any cranking out there?
No, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I
Deeper?
know guys have. Yeah, no, I hate losing them, man. I'm not.
that.
But
Them Zeebs
I've had success on some awesome fisheries across the country. Oneida, cranking. Mille Lacs too. I know it's a thing. I mean, I know it's a thing. I know the MLF exploited it a lot last time they were here.
Yeah.
Chatterbaiting too and stuff like that. When that water gets a little deeper, I think it's a good way, to get bit. It's always something. I explained to you like a way I like to use that Ned rig to try to like pop it and more get that reaction strike. So I think it's a lot of the same.
Sure.
But I've never seen it. Like, I've never had it where it just dominated for me that day on Mille Lacs, so it's not my most favorite thing. And sometimes you rake the rocks and stuff before you come over, and your line just breaks. But, like, last year, Ronnie Moore came in with a crew for a Bassmaster thing that they did with me, and it was kind of that August time of year. We went back out with a couple crankbaits, a couple good JDM crankbaits.
Okay.
I don't even want to say them because they're already hard to find.
Yeah.
And we went out there and they wrecked them, dude. It was so fun. The camera guys got into it. Everybody got into it. So it's definitely
real deep crank.
No, 10 feet, 10, 12 feet, maybe even. Not nothing like. I don't think I'm gonna run out there with like it just seems like I'll lose every bass on a 6XD or something like that. But
I was just trying to narrow down which crankbait I wasn't gonna say out loud.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, dude. Well, I've always been curious about this. Like, how heavy a Ned rig do you throw? Because I personally, there's all these heavier heads, and I've just never done as good on a heavy one. But I maybe don't throw it like I do other heavy baits.
Yeah, I'm using everything from we make them up to a quarter.
Yep.
We've been working on a 3/16. Hopefully, we'll see that. 5/16.
Okay.
To go even bigger. But I use everything from, I'm not a 16th guy a lot.
Sure.
But I'm getting there with Forage sonar. Like, I'm using wacky and weightless a lot more, or just a little, or Nico putting a little weight in it, so I can see doing that here. But generally I'm 3/32, like this time of year. Fish are going to be shallow.
Yep.
3/32 to an eighth.
Yep.
And then we'll start getting that weird mold that grows on the rock. So then I go even lighter, just so I'm not digging into it. And then as the year progresses, we get around the 4th of July, more 1/8 to 3/16 until we are, later in the year. But I do throw a Ned rig a lot. I throw a tube and a Ned rig and a drop shot are my three favorite, on the bottom smallmouth baits.
Sure.
To throw. If they're not biting a Ned rig, they'll bite a tube.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yep.
Or a drop shot. So it's usually one of those three, and just trying to figure out which one.
Yeah. Well, that's a lake where I have had success with a heavier drop shot weight.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's a big deal at a lot of places, actually.
Sure.
Forage sonar, just get it in front of them right now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. And length of leader, I guess, is always something that it's hard to, guess on, right? Because how many drop shots do you want to tie up? How many,
It's
and
so
I guess
weird. Some tournaments I got 5. Some of them I don't even have one. I don't even have one tied up now for opener because I won't throw it to start the year. I just don't like it.
Has there been any weird drop shot leader lengths that you've had work in under any condition? Like, what's the longest drop shot
3
leader you've
foot.
thrown? 3 foot.
Yeah, it's long. It's hard to cast. It's long.
But I suppose if you're trying to get that weightless presentation,
Yep, I just want that. You nailed it. I want the weightless presentation deep.
Yeah.
And I just need to get it there. And I don't want to wait for a wacky Senko or whatever to get down there.
Is that more of a Senko? Because I feel like a 3 foot
No,
leader,
no.
because a minnow, for example, free falling, let's say it's a Strike King, what is it called?
Dream shot or something.
Yeah, dream shot or something like that.
Probably not with that. No.
Something that has a little...
And it's a Goby mimicker. It's a darter mimicker. It's something that I'd probably have more of a short drop shot weight on. More like a wacky Senko or more so anything with a Lastec in it that I want to float, or a floating fluke.
Okay.
Something like that with that's big on St. Clair.
Yep.
To keep it up over the grass like a perch. Long leaders. It used to be a big deal in Oneida. Guys would throw. That's where I kind of learned, a longer leader. Not quite that. It was maybe 2 foot, and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, leader size is huge. You know, sometimes you can get on the Great Lakes where a goby can't like swim like this. You know,
They
gobies no, they can only go like, they don't have a swim bladder, you know? Yeah, right. They just kind of, they don't just like swim like a
goby.
like the bluegill, right?
Yeah,
They just kind
yeah.
of dart on the bottom, so they
Cool.
don't have like an air bladder.
Uh-huh.
So then a really short leader, because those fish are used to it being right down there
Right.
on the rocks and stuff like that. Or if you're drifting, sometimes you're skipping too fast, so you need that longer leader to kind of get your bait more time in the strike zone.
That makes sense.
Or, like you said, we just want to give them a weightless presentation. You know, sometimes when things are really tough, I'll dead stick it for a long time. You know what I mean? If I know that they're there and I'm just not getting the bite, and there ain't a smallmouth in the world that can deal with a weightless piece of plastic for a certain amount of time. He's going to kill it. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, always playing with that, and that's just part of fishing. You know, you never know what the hell's going on. Some guys, you know, maybe keep it simple. Start with a long one. That way when you're breaking off weights, just keep
that's
pegging
one
them on
reason,
and keep
for
going.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
one reason. Well, it seems like if you're, it's hard to cast a drop shot and get bit all day. Like cast one.
Right.
A longer leader might allow you to cast it a little bit more
It's
technically.
actually harder because that weights, you got like that pivot. It's like a long Carolina rig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like
maybe
a
it's
shorter one you can fling. That long one you got to kind of wind up and pitch it.
Well, maybe it's harder to cast, but it presents the bait better on
for
a
sure.
long cast
Yes,
because of that
yes.
angle of your line versus most of the time you're a little more vertical with them.
100%.
So
100%. You got to dead stick more if you're vertical. It's more natural when you're.
sure.
But anytime post spawn, man, I start to like that leader to get a little bit longer. Put like a little, like one of those little mega bass,
Yeah.
haze dongs or whatever on there or something like
That's
that.
a good one.
Let
Yeah.
it swim through those weeds up by like Miramar and stuff. You're gonna get bit.
Absolutely. Golly, there's a new one that Waypoint just carried that I put in their tank that looks.
It wasn't the Sixth Sense one, was it?
No.
It's the same kind
it's
of style, little minnow.
Little minnow. It looks like a haze dong shad, but it's got a little huddle tail instead of a
sick.
regular tail, and it's got like 2 stabilizer fins. It's a Raid Little Sweeper, it's called.
Yeah.
And that thing in the tank on a drop shot, I feel like you could throw it out and just reel it back, or just
Swim it,
dead stick it, or
Demiki
anything.
it, whatever you want to do. Stroll it, do whatever.
Yeah. That Raid Little Sweeper's the baddest little thing I've seen on drop shot in a while. But I don't know. We're at. I guess I'm out of beer. So we can either grab another beer and keep talking. We're at about 3 hours, 2, and yeah. So
Are we really?
yeah, it felt like an hour and a half, but that's usually how it goes.
Right on.
I'm starting to actually get used to that, which I didn't at first.
That's what
but-
they got to be, though, man. You don't got enough time right away to do them quick and.
Right. Well, dude, it's been epic. I feel like we covered all dimensions of the
We
galaxy
did. We got
today
everywhere.
and learned a lot, had fun as usual. So, dude, thanks for making the trip.
Dude,
Means a lot, man.
always appreciate it. Dude, it's really it's cool watching this thing grow and all that. And like I said, I've known you for a while, so I'm just glad I get to be a part of it.
Means a lot, dude. And I'd love to get out in the boat sometime with you. Maybe
yeah.
after the Mille Lacs events this year or something. When
Maybe I'll learn something from you.
well, hey, whatever's clever, dude. But it means a lot, and I've always looked up to you, and we'll continue to do so. So, for guys who want to maybe follow along, you said you got a YouTube series coming out this summer.
Yep, that'll be through my stuff in Bass Mafia. Obviously, I do a lot with Shields, so please, any of that, try to help their clientele and their employees and stuff like that with a lot. And then any of my stuff, I try to stay super active on social media, YouTube, all of it, and it's all just at Josh Douglas Fishing.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Love it,
Instagram,
dude.
Facebook, all of it. YouTube.
Well, I know your journey's far from over, and it'll be cool to watch you work this
we
year.
got
And
big derbies ahead of us. Bud.
absolutely, dude. Well, here's to a good season, dude.
Let's go.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Teal's Bass Galaxy, checking in, checking out.